Hello, and welcome to Sleepy Knowledge. Tonight, we invite you to settle in, find a comfortable position, and let the outside world fade away. This is a space for your mind to rest while staying gently engaged, a place where curiosity meets tranquility. As the day comes to a close, we take this time to explore the intricate wonders of our world through a series of calming, detailed reflections. There is no pressure to remember every word, instead, let the rhythm of the information wash over you like a quiet tide. Whether you are seeking a moment of peace before sleep or simply a thoughtful pause in your busy life, let these insights guide you into a state of relaxed awareness. Tonight, we immerse ourselves in a journey of discovery, moving through the layers of our natural history and the hidden systems that sustain life. Now, let us begin. Fact 1. A kingdom of their own. Mushrooms belong to the kingdom fungi, separate from plants, animals, and bacteria. For centuries, people assumed mushrooms were plants because they grew from the ground and didn't move. But fungi are fundamentally different from plants in profound ways. They don't photosynthesize, they can't capture sunlight and turn it into energy. Instead, fungi are decomposers and absorbers, breaking down organic matter and absorbing nutrients through their cell walls. Genetically, fungi are actually more closely related to animals than to plants, sharing a common ancestor about 1 billion years ago. This discovery revolutionized how we understand life's diversity. Fungi have their own unique biology. Their cell walls contain chitin, the same material in insect exoskeletons, rather than cellulose like plants. They grow through filaments called hyphae that form vast underground networks. The mushroom you see is just the fruit, the reproductive structure of a much larger organism hidden beneath the surface. As you rest tonight, consider that fungi represent an entire kingdom of life, as distinct from plants as plants are from animals, quietly performing essential roles in every ecosystem on Earth. Fact 2. The hidden network. The mushroom you see above ground is only a tiny fraction of the fungus. Most of its body exists underground as a network of thread-like filaments called mycelium. These microscopic threads spread through soil, wood, or whatever substrate the fungus colonizes, forming vast interconnected networks. A single fungal organism can extend for miles underground, making fungi among Earth's largest organisms. The mycelium is where the real work happens, absorbing nutrients, growing, and communicating. The mushroom itself is just the fruiting body, emerging when conditions are right to spread spores, much like an apple on a tree. The mycelium can persist for years, decades, or even centuries underground, while individual mushrooms last only days or weeks. This hidden network operates continuously in darkness and silence, breaking down organic matter and recycling nutrients. The mycelial network can sense its environment, growing toward food sources and away from toxins. As you drift toward sleep, imagine vast mycelial networks spreading beneath forests and fields, connecting trees and plants, invisible highways of communication and nutrient exchange supporting life above ground. Fact 3. Ancient organisms. Fungi are incredibly ancient, with fossil evidence suggesting they existed over 1 billion years ago. They were among Earth's first organisms to colonize land, arriving long before plants. In fact, fungi likely helped plants make the transition from water to land around 450 million years ago through symbiotic partnerships. The oldest confirmed mushroom fossil dates back about 115 million years, preserved in amber, but molecular evidence suggests fungi are far older. Fungi witnessed the age of dinosaurs, survived the asteroid impact that ended the Cretaceous period, and watched as mammals rose to dominance. They've adapted to countless environmental changes, mass extinctions, and climate shifts. Throughout Earth's history, fungi have been nature's recyclers, breaking down whatever organic matter exists, from ancient ferns to dinosaur remains to modern forests. Their longevity and adaptability demonstrate remarkable resilience. Individual fungal colonies can live for thousands of years. Some honey mushroom colonies in Oregon are estimated to be over 2,000 years old. As you rest tonight, consider that fungi are ancient witnesses to Earth's history, older than flowers, older than grass, quietly persisting through ages. Fact 4, Spore Dispersal. A single mushroom can release billions or even trillions of spores during its brief life. These microscopic reproductive cells drift on air currents, spreading the fungus far beyond its origin. Spores are so small and light that they can travel hundreds or thousands of miles on wind, crossing continents and oceans. They're everywhere, in the air you breathe, on surfaces you touch, floating in invisible clouds. Most spores never find suitable conditions to germinate, but fungi compensate through sheer numbers. The gills, pores, or other structures on a mushroom's underside maximize surface area for spore production. Some mushrooms can release 30,000 spores per second at their peak. When spores land in favorable conditions, the right temperature, moisture, and food source, they germinate, sending out delicate hyphae that begin forming new mycelium. Different fungi have evolved remarkable spore dispersal strategies. Some launch spores with tiny water droplets, others rely on insects or animals to carry them. As you breathe slowly and deeply before sleep, know that you're inhaling traces of these ancient travelers, each spore a potential beginning, most destined to drift endlessly but a few to grow into new fungal colonies. Fact 5, Mushroom Colors. Mushrooms come in an extraordinary array of colors, vibrant reds, deep purples, brilliant blues, sunny yellows, and pure whites. These colors aren't arbitrary decorations but serve specific functions. Bright colors can warn animals that a mushroom is toxic, like the iconic red and white fly agaric mushroom that signals danger through its appearance. Some mushrooms produce pigments that protect them from UV radiation, similar to how melanin protects human skin. Others use color to attract specific insects for spore dispersal. The indigo milk cap mushrooms produce a brilliant blue milk when cut, while lobster mushrooms glow orange-red. Some mushrooms change color as they mature or when bruised, chemical reactions revealing their internal chemistry. Certain fungi even bioluminesce, producing their own light through chemical reactions, glowing softly in dark forests like tiny green lanterns. These ghost mushrooms create an ethereal glow that can illuminate the forest floor at night. The pigments in mushrooms include compounds with fascinating properties. Some have antioxidant effects, others antimicrobial activity. As darkness surrounds you tonight, imagine forests where glowing mushrooms light the shadows, and colorful fungi paint the landscape in nature's vast palette. Fact 6, Medicinal Properties. Many mushrooms contain compounds with powerful medicinal properties that humans have used for millennia. Traditional Chinese medicine has employed mushrooms like reishi, shiitake, and turkey tail for thousands of years to boost immunity and promote longevity. Modern science has confirmed that many mushrooms produce bioactive compounds, polysaccharides, triterpenes, and other molecules that affect human physiology. Some mushroom compounds show anti-cancer properties, slowing tumor growth in laboratory studies. Others have antimicrobial effects, fighting bacteria and viruses. Lion's mane mushroom contains compounds that may stimulate nerve growth factor, potentially protecting brain function and memory. Cordyceps mushrooms have been used by athletes for endurance, and research suggests they may improve oxygen utilization. However, medicinal mushrooms aren't miracle cures. Their effects tend to be subtle and supportive rather than dramatic. They work best as part of overall health maintenance. The pharmaceutical industry continues studying mushrooms for drug development. Penicillin, one of history's most important antibiotics, comes from a fungus related to mushrooms. As you rest tonight, consider that the mushroom kingdom offers not just ecological services but potential healing compounds, nature's pharmacy growing in forests and fields. Fact 7, Decomposition Masters. Fungi are nature's primary decomposers, breaking down dead organic matter and recycling nutrients back into ecosystems. Without fungi, dead plants and animals would accumulate endlessly, and nutrients would remain locked in unusable forms. Fungi produce powerful enzymes that break down complex organic molecules like cellulose, lignin, and chitin, substances that most other organisms cannot digest. This decomposition is essential for nutrient cycling. When a tree falls in the forest, fungi immediately begin breaking it down, releasing carbon, nitrogen, and other elements for new plant growth. Mushrooms can decompose virtually anything organic: wood, leaves, animal remains, even petroleum products and plastics in some cases. Some fungi specialize in decomposing specific materials. Wood decomposers have different enzymes than leaf decomposers. This breakdown process can take years for large trees or happen within weeks for soft plant material. Fungi essentially digest their food externally, secreting enzymes into their surroundings and absorbing the resulting nutrients. Without this continuous decomposition, ecosystems would collapse under accumulated organic matter. As you settle into rest tonight, fungi worldwide quietly dismantle the old, making way for the new, maintaining the cycle that allows life to continue. Fact 8: Mycorrhizal partnerships. About 90% of all plant species form symbiotic relationships with fungi called mycorrhizae, ancient partnerships essential for both organisms. Mycorrhizal fungi colonize plant roots, extending far beyond where roots can reach through vast mycelial networks in the soil. These fungal networks act like extended root systems, gathering water and nutrients, particularly phosphorus and nitrogen, from soil and delivering them to plants. In exchange, plants provide fungi with sugars produced through photosynthesis. This partnership benefits both participants profoundly. Plants with mycorrhizal partners grow larger, resist drought better, and fight off diseases more effectively than plants alone. The fungi receive steady nutrition from their plant partners. These relationships are so ancient and important that many plants cannot survive without their fungal partners. Forest trees are connected through these mycorrhizal networks, sometimes called the wood wide web, allowing nutrient and chemical signal exchange between trees. Mother trees can support their offspring through these networks, and dying trees can transfer resources to their neighbors. This hidden collaboration beneath the forest floor reveals nature's interconnectedness. As you rest tonight, imagine underground networks connecting entire forests, fungal threads binding the plant world together in mutual support. Fact 9: Size extremes. The fungal kingdom includes both tiny microscopic yeasts and Earth's largest organisms. The largest known organism on the planet is a honey mushroom colony in Oregon's Blue Mountains, covering 2,384 acres and estimated to weigh hundreds of tons. This single fungal individual has been growing for perhaps 2,500 years, spreading slowly through the forest soil. At the other extreme, microscopic fungi exist as single cells or tiny clusters, invisible without magnification. Between these extremes, mushrooms range from smaller than a fingernail to giant puffballs the size of beach balls. The diversity in size reflects fungi's incredible adaptability to different ecological niches. Large fungal colonies can persist for millennia because mycelium is resilient. Damage to one area doesn't kill the entire organism. The visible mushrooms, regardless of the colony's size, appear only briefly when conditions favor reproduction. This size range, from microscopic to massive, demonstrates the fungal kingdom's versatility. Whether enormous or tiny, all fungi play their roles in nutrient cycling and ecosystem function. As you rest tonight, both microscopic fungi and massive underground colonies continue their quiet work, regardless of their size, all essential threads in nature's tapestry. Fact 10: Bioluminescent beauty. About 80 species of mushrooms create their own light through bioluminescence, glowing softly in darkness. These ghost mushrooms, jack-o'-lantern mushrooms, and bitter oysters produce an eerie green glow through chemical reactions. The light comes from luciferin molecules reacting with oxygen, catalyzed by enzymes, releasing energy as photons. But why do mushrooms produce light? Scientists believe it attracts insects at night, which then carry spores to new locations, helping the fungus spread. The glow is usually subtle, not bright enough to read by, but clearly visible in dark forests. Bioluminescent mushrooms have inspired folklore and wonder throughout human history. Before people understood bioluminescence, glowing mushrooms seemed magical, leading to stories of fairy rings and forest spirits. The phenomenon demonstrates how fungi evolved creative solutions to dispersal challenges. In tropical forests where bioluminescent species are most common, nighttime humidity creates ideal conditions for these glowing displays. The soft green light illuminating decaying logs and forest floors creates an otherworldly atmosphere. As you drift towards sleep tonight, imagine dark forests lit by gentle fungal glows, nature's nightlights guiding insects through the darkness while spreading the mushroom's spores on borrowed wings. Fact 11, Edible Treasures. Humans have gathered and cultivated mushrooms for food throughout history, and many species are prized for their flavors and textures. Shiitake, oyster, button, portobello, and chanterelle mushrooms appear in cuisines worldwide. Mushrooms provide umami flavor, that savory, meaty taste from glutamates. They're low in calories but rich in nutrients including B vitamins, selenium, and copper. Some mushrooms contain vitamin D, especially when exposed to sunlight, making them unique among plant-based foods. Mushroom cultivation has become a significant industry, with billions of pounds produced annually. The cultivation process mimics natural conditions, providing appropriate substrate, humidity, and temperature for mycelium growth and fruiting. Wild mushroom foraging remains popular, though it requires expertise to distinguish edible species from toxic lookalikes. Truffle hunting in Europe uses trained dogs to locate these underground delicacies worth more than gold by weight. Different cultures have mushroom traditions. Japanese cuisine features numerous mushroom dishes, while European cuisines incorporate wild mushrooms seasonally. Mushrooms absorb flavors well and provide satisfying texture, making them popular meat substitutes. As you rest tonight, consider how mushrooms have nourished humans for millennia, humble gifts from the forest floor that have sustained and delighted countless generations. Fact 12, Toxic Dangers. While many mushrooms are edible, others contain deadly toxins, and distinguishing between them requires expertise. The death cap mushroom, responsible for most fatal mushroom poisonings worldwide, looks deceptively ordinary and tastes pleasant, but contains amatoxins that destroy liver and kidney cells. Symptoms appear only after toxins have caused irreversible organ damage, often too late for treatment. Other toxic mushrooms cause different effects. Destroying angel mushrooms are similarly deadly, while fly agaric mushrooms cause hallucinations and delirium. Some mushrooms cause violent gastrointestinal distress without being lethal. The challenge is that toxic mushrooms often closely resemble edible species. No simple rule distinguishes poisonous from safe mushrooms. Old folklore about testing with silver spoons or checking if insects eat them is unreliable and dangerous. The only safe approach is certain identification by experts or extensive study. Many mushroom poisons have no antidotes, making prevention crucial. Interestingly, some animals can safely eat mushrooms toxic to humans, having evolved resistance or different digestive chemistry. As you settle into rest tonight, let this knowledge inspire respect for mushrooms' complexity, beautiful and fascinating but demanding caution, nature's reminder that not everything appealing is safe to consume. Fact 13, Mushroom Cultivation. Humans have cultivated mushrooms for at least 2,000 years, beginning with shiitake cultivation in ancient China. Traditional cultivation involved inoculating logs with mushroom spawn and waiting months or years for fruiting. Modern cultivation techniques have made mushroom farming more efficient and productive. Most commercial mushrooms grow on carefully prepared substrates, composted manure and straw for button mushrooms, hardwood sawdust for shiitake, or straw for oyster mushrooms. The process begins with pure fungal cultures grown in laboratories, ensuring consistency and preventing contamination. Spawn, grain colonized by mycelium, inoculates the growing substrate. In carefully controlled environments with specific temperature, humidity, and air exchange, mycelium colonizes the substrate over weeks. When fully colonized, environmental changes trigger fruiting, mushrooms emerge, sometimes almost overnight. Mushroom cultivation combines science and art, requiring attention to subtle environmental cues. Different species have different requirements, and cultivators must understand each species' preferences. The cultivation industry provides fresh mushrooms year-round, independent of seasons. As you rest tonight, mushroom farms worldwide tend their crops, maintaining the precise conditions that coax mycelium to produce fruiting bodies, continuing humanity's ancient partnership with cultivated fungi. Fact 14, Fairy Rings. Fairy rings are circular patterns of mushrooms appearing in grass and forests, created by radially expanding mycelium. These mysterious circles have inspired folklore across cultures, fairies dancing in circles, portals to other worlds, or places where lightning struck. The scientific explanation is simpler but equally fascinating. A fungal colony grows outward from a central point in all directions, forming a circular mycelial network beneath the surface. The mushrooms appear at the outer edge where the mycelium is most active and nutrient-rich. As the center depletes nutrients, the ring expands outward, sometimes growing several inches per year. Some fairy rings are centuries old and dozens of feet across. The grass inside rings often appears darker green because decomposing mycelium releases nitrogen, fertilizing the grass. Fairy rings can persist for hundreds of years, slowly expanding through meadows and forests. Different mushroom species create fairy rings of various sizes and characteristics. While folklore attributed supernatural causes to these perfect circles, they're actually beautiful examples of fungal growth patterns made visible. As darkness settles tonight, fairy rings around the world rest invisibly, their mycelium preparing for next season's emergence, drawing circles in nature's patient geometry. Fact 15, Zombie fungi. Certain fungi infect insects and control their behavior, turning them into zombies that serve the fungus's reproductive needs. Ophiocordyceps fungi specialize in this macabre strategy. Spores infect ants or other insects, and the fungus grows inside, eventually taking over the host's nervous system. The infected insect, no longer controlling its own actions, is compelled to climb vegetation and bite down, locking itself in place. The insect dies, and the fungus grows a fruiting body from the corpse, positioned optimally to release spores onto passing insects below. This horror movie scenario is a real survival strategy, refined by millions of years of evolution. Different Ophiocordyceps species target specific insect hosts with remarkable specificity. The fungus doesn't kill its host immediately but rather manipulates behavior to maximize spore dispersal. Research suggests the fungus releases chemicals affecting the insect's brain, though exact mechanisms remain mysterious. These zombie fungi keep insect populations in check, preventing outbreaks that might devastate forests. As you rest safely tonight, unthreatened by fungal control, consider this dark corner of nature where fungi manipulate animal behavior, a reminder that survival strategies in nature can be both fascinating and unsettling. Fact 16, Mushroom evolution. Mushrooms evolved relatively recently in fungal history, with the distinctive guild mushroom form appearing around 130 million years ago. Earlier fungi reproduced through different structures, but the familiar mushroom shape, a cap supported by a stem with gills or pores underneath, proved highly successful. This design maximizes spore dispersal surface area while elevating spores above ground for better wind distribution. Different mushroom forms evolved for different environments and dispersal strategies. Guild mushrooms work well in humid forests. Puffballs contain spores internally, releasing them when the outer skin breaks. Bracket fungi grow on trees, tough and long-lasting, releasing spores from pores underneath. The evolution of mushrooms paralleled the rise of flowering plants and modern forests, suggesting ecological relationships between these developments. Mushrooms adapted to new food sources as plant diversity increased. Co-evolution with insects led to sophisticated dispersal strategies. The mushroom form we recognize today represents millions of years of refinement, optimizing for successful reproduction in varied environments. This evolutionary success explains mushrooms' diversity and global distribution. As you drift toward sleep, consider that mushrooms are evolutionarily recent innovations, yet they've become essential components of nearly every terrestrial ecosystem on Earth. Fact 17: Psychedelic properties. Some mushrooms contain psilocybin and related compounds that profoundly affect human consciousness and perception. These magic mushrooms have been used ceremonially by indigenous cultures for thousands of years. Psilocybin converts to psilocin in the body, affecting serotonin receptors in the brain and altering perception, emotion, and thought patterns. Users report vivid visual distortions, emotional intensity, and sometimes profound insights or mystical experiences. Modern research is rediscovering these compounds' potential therapeutic applications. Clinical trials show psilocybin may help treat depression, anxiety, PTSD, and addiction when used in controlled therapeutic settings. The experiences can facilitate psychological breakthroughs and perspective shifts that persist after the immediate effects fade. However, psilocybin mushrooms also carry risks. Challenging experiences can be psychologically distressing, and they're not suitable for everyone, especially those with certain mental health conditions. The mushrooms remain illegal in most jurisdictions despite growing research interest. Why do mushrooms produce these compounds? Possibly to deter insect predators, though the evolutionary reason remains uncertain. These mushrooms remind us that fungi produce complex chemicals affecting nervous systems, sometimes in unexpected ways. As you rest tonight, unaltered consciousness settling into natural sleep, consider how certain mushrooms can temporarily transform human awareness, keys to doors of perception that remain mostly closed. Fact 18: Climate impact. Fungi play a crucial but often overlooked role in global carbon cycling and climate regulation. When fungi decompose organic matter, they release carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere, but they also store carbon in soil through mycelium and through helping form stable soil organic matter. Mycorrhizal fungi transfer significant amounts of carbon underground, receiving it from plants and incorporating it into mycelial networks and soil. Some estimates suggest mycorrhizal fungi move over 5 billion tons of carbon underground annually. This carbon storage helps offset atmospheric CO2 increases. Fungi also influence carbon storage through their role in forming soil structure and stability. However, changing temperatures affect fungal activity. Warmer conditions can accelerate decomposition, potentially releasing stored carbon. Climate change may shift fungal community composition, with uncertain consequences for carbon cycling. Understanding fungal contributions to carbon dynamics is crucial for climate modeling and mitigation strategies. Fungi's role in soil health also affects plants' carbon capture capacity. These invisible networks beneath our feet participate in global climate regulation through countless small actions adding up to planetary scale effects. As you rest tonight, fungal mycelium worldwide continues its work, participating in the slow cycling of carbon that helps regulate Earth's atmosphere and climate. Fact 19: Wood decomposers. Wood decomposing fungi perform the essential but slow work of breaking down trees, a process that can take years or decades. When a tree falls or dies, specialized fungi immediately begin colonization. These fungi produce enzymes that break down cellulose and lignin, complex molecules that form wood's structure. Different fungi specialize in different decomposition stages. Pioneer species colonize first, followed by others as wood softens. Some fungi cause white rot, decomposing lignin and leaving pale, stringy wood. Others cause brown rot, removing cellulose and leaving crumbly, reddish-brown material. Fungi, those shelf-like growths on tree trunks, are often wood decomposers, their fruiting bodies persisting for months or years while mycelium works within the wood. Wood decomposition returns nutrients to soil, creates habitat for countless organisms, and prevents forests from filling with fallen trees. The process is slow because lignin is chemically stable and resistant to breakdown. Only fungi have evolved the enzymatic machinery to efficiently decompose it. This unique ability makes wood decomposing fungi irreplaceable in forest ecosystems. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider the patient work of fungi throughout forests worldwide, slowly dismantling dead trees, year after year, converting wood into soil in nature's unhurried recycling program. Fact 20, Truffle Mysteries. Truffles are underground mushrooms that never emerge to the surface, developing entirely in soil near tree roots. These prized fungi form mycorrhizal partnerships with specific trees, black truffles with oaks, white truffles with hazels and oaks. Since truffles can't release spores into the air, they evolved a different strategy, producing powerful aromas that attract animals. Animals dig up and eat truffles, spreading spores through droppings. Pigs naturally seek truffles, but trained dogs now do most commercial truffle hunting since they don't eat the findings. Truffles' intense, complex aromas make them culinary treasures worth thousands of dollars per pound. White truffles from Italy are especially prized and cannot be cultivated, they grow only in wild symbiosis with certain trees. Black truffles can be cultivated, though success requires patience and perfect conditions. Truffle cultivation involves inoculating tree seedlings with truffle spores, planting them, and waiting years for truffles to develop. Even then, success isn't guaranteed. The mysteries surrounding truffle biology and the difficulty in cultivation maintain their rarity and value. As you rest tonight, truffles develop slowly underground in secret locations, their powerful fragrances waiting to attract animals or lucky hunters, nature's hidden treasures buried in forest soil. Fact 21, Seasonal Fruiting. Mushrooms appear seasonally, their fruiting triggered by specific environmental conditions. Most temperate mushrooms fruit in autumn when moisture and temperature align perfectly. Rain after dry periods often triggers massive mushroom emergencies. Mycelium that has been growing underground for months suddenly produces hundreds of fruiting bodies within days. This timing makes evolutionary sense. Autumn provides moisture for spore dispersal and moderate temperatures, while the upcoming winter will distribute spores widely. Some mushrooms fruit in spring, others in summer. Desert mushrooms wait years between rains, fruiting explosively when moisture finally arrives. Temperature, moisture, light, and even moon phases may influence fruiting times. Mushroom hunters learn their target species' seasonal patterns, knowing when and where to search. Climate change is shifting some mushrooms' fruiting patterns, with some appearing earlier or later than historically observed. These changes can disrupt ecological relationships if mushrooms and their dispersers fall out of synchronization. The seasonal appearance of mushrooms creates natural rhythms in forests and fields, periods of abundance followed by dormancy, the mycelium always present but visible only briefly. As you settle into rest tonight, mycelial networks worldwide sense their environments, waiting for the precise conditions that signal it's time to fruit, nature's patience measuring time in seasons. Fact 22, Fungal Intelligence. Recent research suggests fungi exhibit behaviors that could be considered a form of primitive intelligence. Mycelial networks sense their environment, growing toward food sources and away from toxins. They can navigate mazes, finding the most efficient paths to food. When mycelium encounters damage, it can regrow and adapt, rooting around problems. Fungal networks even exhibit memory-like behaviors, responding differently to stimuli they've encountered before. Communication occurs throughout mycelial networks, possibly through electrical signals or chemical messages. The decentralized structure makes fungi resilient. No central brain means damage doesn't disable the entire organism. This distributed processing resembles neural networks or computer networks more than animal intelligence. Some researchers apply principles from studying fungal networks to optimize human-made networks. Whether this constitutes true intelligence remains debated, but fungi clearly process information, make decisions, and solve problems within their constraints. They exhibit purposeful behavior without central nervous systems or brains. This challenges assumptions about what forms intelligence can take. As you rest tonight, your own neural networks settling into sleep's different patterns, consider that intelligence might exist in forms radically different from ours, in organisms without brains or nervous systems, solving life's problems through distributed, patient networks growing in darkness. Fact 23, Mushroom Farming Insects. Several insect species independently evolved mushroom farming, cultivating fungi in underground gardens millions of years before humans did. Leafcutter ants are famous fungus farmers. They cut leaves, carry them to underground chambers, chew them into pulp, and use this substrate to grow specific fungi that the colony eats. The ants don't eat the leaves but rather farm them as substrate for fungal cultivation. They carefully tend their gardens, removing contaminants and maintaining optimal conditions. The farmed fungus produces specialized structures for the ants to eat, found nowhere else in nature, an evolutionary adaptation to ant cultivation. Termites also farm fungi, particularly in Africa, building complex underground structures where they cultivate fungus on chewed wood. Ambrosia beetles bore galleries in wood and inoculate them with specific fungi, creating gardens in tree trunks. These farming behaviors evolved independently multiple times, suggesting fungal cultivation is a successful survival strategy. The insects and fungi have co-evolved into obligate partnerships, neither can survive without the other. These tiny farmers demonstrate sophisticated agriculture, complete with pest management and crop care, all without conscious planning or learning. As you drift towards sleep, consider that fungal farming isn't uniquely human but rather a strategy discovered independently by multiple organisms seeking reliable food sources. Fact 24, Fungal Leather. Scientists are developing leather-like materials from mushroom mycelium, offering sustainable alternatives to animal leather and petroleum-based synthetics. The process involves growing mycelium on organic waste materials, allowing it to form dense mats of interwoven hyphae. These mycelial mats can be tanned and treated to produce materials resembling leather with similar flexibility, durability, and texture. Mushroom leather grows in days rather than the months required to raise livestock or the petroleum-intensive process of synthetic leather production. The material is biodegradable, unlike synthetic leather, and doesn't require animal slaughter, unlike traditional leather. Different growing conditions and treatments produce materials with varying properties, thicker or thinner, softer or tougher. Companies are already producing bags, shoes, and clothing from mushroom leather. The material represents a convergence of biotechnology, sustainability, and fashion. It demonstrates how understanding fungal biology enables practical applications beyond food and medicine. Growing materials rather than mining or manufacturing them represents a potential shift toward biological manufacturing. The development is still young, with challenges around scalability and cost, but it shows promise for reducing fashion's environmental impact. As you rest tonight, consider how mushrooms might someday provide materials for everyday objects, biology replacing industrial processes, fungal mycelium woven into civilization's fabric. Fact 25, Coral Fungi. Coral fungi look remarkably like ocean corals, growing in intricate branching forms that can be white, yellow, orange, or purple. These terrestrial mushrooms typically decompose wood or form mycorrhizal partnerships with trees. Their highly branched structure maximizes surface area for spore production. Each branch tip produces spores. The coral-like form isn't related to actual coral through recent evolution but represents convergent evolution, similar environmental challenges producing similar solutions in completely unrelated organisms. Coral fungi range from delicate, finger-thin branches to robust, cauliflower-like masses. Some species are edible, though often with disappointing texture or flavor. Others are toxic. The branching structure is fragile, easily damaged by disturbance, making coral fungi indicators of undisturbed forest. Their appearance often inspires wonder. These intricate, almost alien-looking structures seem too elaborate to be mere mushrooms. Yet they're simply one of many forms fungi have evolved for effective spore dispersal. The variety of mushroom shapes, gills, pores, teeth, branches, cups, clubs, demonstrates how natural selection optimizes form for function. As you settle into rest tonight, imagine these delicate coral-like structures emerging from forest floors, terrestrial echoes of oceanic forms, nature's creativity expressing itself in fungal flesh. Fact 26, Mushroomed Dyes. Mushrooms produce a remarkable range of natural dyes for fabric and fiber arts, colors that have been used by textile artists for centuries. Different mushroom species produce different colors: yellows, oranges, reds, purples, blues, greens, and browns. The colors often differ from the mushroom's own appearance. A brown mushroom might produce brilliant yellow dye. The dyeing process involves simmering mushrooms in water, sometimes with mordants like alum to fix the colors. Some mushrooms produce fugitive dyes that fade over time, while others create remarkably light fast colors lasting for decades. Mushroom dyes tend to be subtle and earthy compared to synthetic dyes, with complex variations and undertones. Different mordants can produce different colors from the same mushroom species. The same mushroom growing in different conditions might produce slightly different dye colors, adding natural variation to dyed yarns. Using mushrooms for dyeing requires significant quantities, pounds of mushrooms to dye small amounts of fiber. This makes mushroom dyeing a slow, meditative process connecting dyers to seasons and natural cycles. The practice demonstrates how mushrooms offer gifts beyond food and medicine: color itself, extracted from their flesh and transferred to human-made materials. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider how mushrooms have colored human textiles, nature's palette contributing to human creativity and expression. Fact 27, Mushroom Spore Prints. Mushroom identification often relies on spore prints, patterns created when mature mushrooms release spores onto paper or glass. To make a spore print, you remove a mushroom cap and place it gill side down on paper, cover it, and wait several hours or overnight. Millions of microscopic spores fall and accumulate, creating a visible pattern matching the gill arrangement. Spore color is a critical identification characteristic. White, cream, pink, brown, purple-brown, or black spores distinguish species that might otherwise look similar. The spore print shows not just color but also the precise gill spacing and radial pattern. Some mushroom artists create deliberate spore prints as art, arranging multiple mushrooms or using shaped paper to create designs. The spore's fine powder-like texture creates delicate, detailed images. Spore prints also demonstrate mushrooms' remarkable reproductive output. Visible accumulations from just hours of spore release suggest the billions released during a mushroom's lifetime. These prints make the invisible visible, revealing the constant shower of microscopic life that falls from every mature mushroom, each tiny spore a potential new beginning. As you rest tonight, mushrooms worldwide release spores in darkness and light, biological snow falling constantly, seeking future soil. Fact 28, Mushrooms in Space. Scientists have studied mushrooms in space to understand how fungi respond to microgravity and space radiation. Research aboard the International Space Station shows that fungi can survive and even thrive in space conditions. Some fungi actually grow faster in microgravity, possibly because nutrients don't settle away from the mycelium but remain evenly distributed in the weightless environment. Fungi's remarkable resistance to radiation has caught researchers' attention. Some species can withstand radiation levels that would be lethal to humans. This radiation resistance might be useful for long-duration space missions or eventual space colonization. Scientists are investigating whether fungi could help produce food in space, recycle waste, or even provide radiation shielding for spacecraft or habitats. Some researchers envision using fungal mycelium to grow building materials for structures on Mars or the Moon. The idea sounds like science fiction but has serious scientific backing. Fungi's ability to grow on various organic waste materials makes them ideal for closed-loop life support systems where everything must be recycled. As you rest tonight under Earth's protective atmosphere, consider that fungi might someday travel to other worlds with humans, their ancient decomposition and growth abilities adapted for space colonization, biology extending beyond Earth's bounds. Fact 29, Morels and Fire. Morel mushrooms have mysterious associations with fire, often appearing abundantly in forests after burns. Forest fires clear undergrowth and deposit ash, creating conditions morels favor. The heat itself may trigger fruiting, or perhaps the changed pH from ash creates ideal conditions. Morels can appear in massive numbers in burned areas, attracting foragers who trek to recent fire sites. The relationship isn't completely understood. Morels also grow in unburned forests, though less predictably. Some morel species specialize in burned areas, while others prefer different habitats. The reliable post-fire morel appearances have created a foraging tradition of visiting burn zones in spring. Beyond fire morels, other mushrooms also respond to disturbance. Some appear after logging, others after flooding. These responses suggest fungi can remain dormant as mycelium for extended periods, fruiting only when conditions signal opportunity. The fire-morel relationship demonstrates how natural disturbances create niches that certain fungi have adapted to exploit. In nature, disturbance isn't always destructive but often creates opportunities for specialized organisms. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider how morels wait patiently underground, sensing through mycelial networks, emerging when fire transforms the forest, turning destruction into delicious fruiting. Fact 30. Mushroom packaging. Innovative companies are using mushroom mycelium to create biodegradable packaging materials as alternatives to styrofoam and plastic. The process grows mycelium on agricultural waste like corn stalks or hemp fiber in molds shaped like packaging forms. Within days, the mycelium binds the waste material into solid forms matching the molds. The growing mycelium acts as natural glue, creating sturdy, lightweight materials. After growing, the forms are dried and heat-treated to stop growth, creating stable packaging. This mycelium packaging protects products during shipping like traditional packaging but decomposes naturally in soil or compost within weeks rather than persisting for centuries like styrofoam. The material is fire-resistant, water-resistant, and can be grown to precise specifications. It uses agricultural waste that would otherwise be discarded, turning waste into useful products. Companies have used mushroom packaging for electronics, wine, cosmetics, and furniture. The material represents a shift toward growing rather than manufacturing products, using biology instead of chemistry and factories. While currently more expensive than conventional packaging, costs decrease as production scales. Mushroom packaging demonstrates how understanding fungal biology enables sustainable innovations. As you rest tonight, consider how mushrooms might help solve plastic pollution, their mycelium binding waste into useful forms, then returning harmlessly to Earth when its purpose is complete. Fact 31, Ancient Medicine. Traditional medicine systems worldwide have used mushrooms for thousands of years to treat various ailments. See the Iceman, a 5,300-year-old mummy found in the Alps, carried amida fungus, possibly for medicinal purposes or fire starting. Traditional Chinese medicine has documented mushroom uses for over 2,000 years, with texts describing reishi mushrooms as promoting longevity and health. Indigenous peoples across continents discovered medicinal mushrooms through observation and experimentation, passing knowledge through generations. Some traditional uses have scientific support. Turkey tail mushrooms, used in Asian medicine for centuries, contain compounds that stimulate immune function. Other traditional uses await modern investigation. The challenge is separating genuine medicinal effects from placebo responses and cultural beliefs. However, the fact that diverse cultures independently discovered some mushrooms' health benefits suggests real effects. Modern medicine has validated some traditional knowledge while dismissing other claims. The pharmaceutical industry continues mining traditional knowledge, seeking compounds from mushrooms used medicinally for generations. This creates ethical questions about intellectual property and benefit sharing with traditional knowledge holders. As you settle into rest tonight, consider how ancient peoples, without laboratories or scientific methods, discovered mushrooms' healing properties through patient observation, building knowledge that modern science still explores. Fact 32: Mushroom clocks. Some mushrooms display remarkable timing precision, fruiting at almost exactly the same time each year. This temporal precision allows experienced foragers to predict mushroom appearances within days. The timing mechanism isn't fully understood but likely involves responding to accumulated temperature, day length, and moisture cues. Some species require specific temperature patterns, warm periods followed by cold, or vice versa. Others respond to day length changes as seasons shift. The precision suggests sophisticated environmental sensing, with mycelium monitoring conditions and fruiting only when multiple factors align. This timing has been disrupted by climate change in some regions, with mushrooms appearing earlier or later than historical patterns. Such shifts can affect ecological relationships if mushrooms and their spore dispersers fall out of sync. The reliable timing demonstrates how fungi are integrated into seasonal cycles and climate patterns. Indigenous peoples and traditional foragers developed detailed knowledge of mushroom timing, creating calendars marking when different species appear. This phenological knowledge represents centuries of careful observation. As you drift towards sleep tonight, imagine mycelial networks underground, sensing temperature and moisture, counting days and degrees, preparing to fruit when their internal clocks signal the perfect moment has arrived. Fact 33: Bioluminescence evolution. Bioluminescent mushrooms evolved their glowing ability independently multiple times, suggesting strong evolutionary advantages. The genes responsible for bioluminescence differ between fungal groups, indicating separate evolutionary origins. This independent evolution implies that producing light benefits fungi enough to evolve multiple times. The leading hypothesis is that light attracts insects at night, which then carry spores to new locations. Daytime fruiting mushrooms rely on wind or rain for spore dispersal, but nighttime glow offers an alternative strategy. In tropical forests where many bioluminescent species live, nighttime humidity prevents spores from drying out, making night dispersal advantageous. Insects attracted to the glow contact spores and carry them elsewhere. Research shows that artificial lights similar to mushroom bioluminescence do attract insects, supporting this hypothesis. The chemical mechanism involves luciferin-luciferase reactions similar to firefly bioluminescence but using different molecules. The soft green glow falls within wavelengths insects see well. Bioluminescence costs energy to produce, so it must provide benefits outweighing costs. The independent evolution of this ability multiple times in fungi suggests those benefits are substantial. As darkness surrounds you tonight, imagine tropical forests where mushrooms glow like tiny green lanterns, biochemistry creating light to attract living vehicles for spore dispersal. Fact 34: Mushroom toxins. Mushroom toxins vary enormously in their effects, mechanisms, and dangers. Amatoxins in death caps inhibit RNA polymerase II, preventing protein synthesis and killing cells, particularly in liver and kidneys. These toxins are heat stable, cooking doesn't destroy them. Muscarine, found in some small mushrooms, overstimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, causing excessive salivation, tears, and potentially dangerous heart effects. ibotenic acid and muscimol in fly agaric mushrooms affect brain chemistry, causing delirium, hallucinations, and altered consciousness. Some mushroom toxins cause gastrointestinal distress without organ damage, unpleasant but rarely fatal. Others cause kidney failure, liver failure, or nervous system damage. A few mushrooms cause delayed reactions, feeling fine initially, then developing serious symptoms days later after irreversible damage has occurred. Some toxins have no antidotes, making prevention crucial. Interestingly, many toxic compounds may have evolved to deter insect or slug predation rather than to harm mammals. We're simply collateral damage from defenses targeting smaller creatures. The diversity of mushroom toxins reflects millions of years of chemical warfare between fungi and those trying to eat them. As you rest safely tonight, remember that these toxins aren't malicious but simply chemical defenses, mushrooms protecting their reproductive structures from consumption. Fact 35, Mushroom Spore Survival. Mushroom spores are remarkably resilient, capable of surviving extreme conditions that would kill most life forms. Spores can remain viable for years or even decades, waiting for suitable conditions to germinate. Some spores survive freezing temperatures, desiccation, and intense UV radiation. They're protected by thick, durable walls that shield the genetic material inside. Spores can survive in upper atmosphere conditions, leading to speculation about whether life might spread between planets on spores or similar structures. Laboratory experiments show that some fungal spores survive simulated space conditions including vacuum, radiation, and temperature extremes. This extreme resilience enables fungi to colonize diverse environments and persist through unfavorable conditions. When conditions improve, spores can germinate after years of dormancy, launching new mycelial growth. This patience contrasts with most organisms' active survival strategies. Spores don't fight harsh conditions but simply endure them, waiting. The strategy works remarkably well. Fungi have colonized virtually every terrestrial environment on Earth. As you rest tonight, countless spores drift through air and settle on surfaces, most dormant, waiting indefinitely for the perfect combination of moisture, temperature, and nutrients that signals it's time to grow. Fact 36, Fungal Communication. Recent research suggests fungi communicate through electrical signals traveling through mycelial networks, similar to neural impulses in animal nervous systems. Scientists measuring electrical activity in fungal mycelium detected patterns resembling language-like structures with up to 50 distinct signal types. These electrical pulses travel through the mycelium, potentially conveying information about food sources, damage, or environmental conditions. The signal's complexity and variety suggest genuine information exchange rather than random electrical noise. Different signals occur in different contexts, implying meaning or at least functional significance. Mycelial networks connecting multiple mushrooms show coordinated electrical activity, suggesting colony-level communication. Some researchers compare these signals to rudimentary language, though whether this constitutes true communication remains debated. The mechanisms are still being studied, but fungi clearly exchange information through their networks. This communication may coordinate growth, trigger fruiting, or warn of dangers. The discovery challenges assumptions about what forms communication can take and what kinds of organisms can communicate. As you drift towards sleep, your own neurons communicate through electrical and chemical signals, and beneath the earth, fungal networks engage in their own slower, alien conversations through mycelial webs. Fact 37, Mushroom Preservation. Humans have developed numerous methods to preserve mushrooms, extending their usefulness beyond brief fruiting periods. Drying is perhaps the oldest method. Dehydrated mushrooms can last for years and often develop concentrated, intensified flavors. Many gourmet mushrooms like porcini and morels are commonly sold dried. Pickling preserves mushrooms in acidic brine, changing their texture and flavor. Freezing works for some species, though it can affect texture. Powdering dried mushrooms creates versatile seasonings. Fermenting mushrooms, common in some Asian cuisines, creates unique flavors through microbial transformation. Salting, as done with European milk cap mushrooms, preserves through dehydration and creates distinctive flavors. Each preservation method creates different results. Dried mushrooms work well in soups and stews, pickled mushrooms as condiments, powdered mushrooms as flavor enhancers. Modern freeze drying preserves mushrooms while maintaining better texture than conventional drying. Canning preserves mushrooms through heat treatment and sealed containers. These preservation methods reflect how humans value mushrooms enough to develop techniques keeping them available year-round. The methods show creativity and practical knowledge passed through generations. As you rest tonight, somewhere preserved mushrooms wait in pantries and cellars, summer's abundance saved for winter's scarcity, fungi frozen in time until needed. Fact 38, Mushroom Shapes. Mushrooms evolved diverse shapes beyond the classic cap and stem form, each optimized for specific environments and spore dispersal strategies. Puffballs are spherical, containing spores internally until mature, then releasing them through a pore or when the outer skin breaks. Shelf or bracket fungi grow as semicircular shelves on trees, tough and long-lasting, releasing spores from pores underneath. Birds' nest fungi resemble tiny nests containing egg-like structures that splash out during rain, dispersing spores. Stinkhorns emerge as egg-like structures that burst open, revealing elongated structures covered with foul-smelling spore masses that attract flies for dispersal. Earth stars look like puffballs, sitting in star-shaped bases that open dramatically. Coral fungi branch intricately like underwater corals. Jelly fungi are gelatinous and translucent. Clubs and spindles grow as simple vertical forms. Each shape represents evolutionary solutions to dispersal challenges. The diversity rivals any flower family, showing how natural selection optimizes form for function. Some shapes resist desiccation, others maximize surface area, and others attract specific dispersers. This morphological diversity makes mushroom hunting visually fascinating. You never know what strange form might emerge next. As you settle into rest tonight, imagine forests holding all these shapes, fungi expressing form in countless variations. Fact 39, Mycoremediation. Fungi can break down environmental pollutants in a process called mycoremediation, offering biological cleanup of contaminated sites. Some fungi produce enzymes that break down petroleum products, turning oil spills into harmless compounds. Others can absorb heavy metals from soil, concentrating toxins in their fruiting bodies which can then be removed. Oyster mushrooms can break down plastics, pesticides, and even cigarette butts. White rot fungi produce enzymes that break down lignans' tough chemical bonds, enzymes that also work on many pollutants with similar structures. Mycoremediation projects have cleaned up oil spills, industrial sites, and polluted waterways using fungal mycelium. The process is slower than chemical cleanup but cheaper, more sustainable, and less disruptive. Fungi essentially digest pollution, transforming toxic compounds into benign ones. Not all pollutants can be remediated this way, and the process requires appropriate conditions and sufficient time. However, mycoremediation represents a biological approach to environmental cleanup, using life's chemistry rather than industrial processes. Research continues identifying fungi capable of breaking down specific pollutants. As you rest tonight, consider that fungi might help clean up humanity's chemical legacy, their patient decomposition abilities applied to modern pollutants, nature's cleanup crew working on civilization's messes. Fact 40, Mushroom Hunting Traditions. Mushroom foraging is deeply embedded in many cultures' traditions, with knowledge passed through generations. In Eastern Europe, entire families venture into forests during mushroom season, teaching children to identify species and secret productive locations. Italian and French traditions include specific mushrooms in regional cuisines, with foraging knowledge as family heritage. In Japan, Matsutake mushroom hunting is culturally significant, with these aromatic mushrooms commanding high prices and considered gifts worthy of respect. Pacific Northwest cultures have deep relationships with mushrooms, both as food and ceremonially. Each culture has favorite species, traditional recipes, and foraging ethics. The knowledge encompasses not just identification but understanding habitat, timing, sustainable harvesting, and preparation. Traditional foragers develop intuitive understanding of mushroom ecology, knowing where and when species appear. This knowledge represents centuries of careful observation and experimentation. Modern guidebooks and field guides attempt to codify this knowledge but can't fully capture the intuitive understanding that comes from years of experience. Foraging connects people to landscapes and seasons, requiring presence and attention. The tradition faces challenges as younger generations urbanize and traditional knowledge isn't transferred. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider how mushroom knowledge threads through human cultures, connecting people to forests and to ancestors who walked the same paths, seeking the same seasonal treasures. Fact 41, Mushroom Spore Clouds. When disturbed, mature puffballs and some other mushrooms release visible clouds of spores, creating dramatic displays. The spore clouds can be thick enough to see, looking like smoke or dust puffing into the air. A single puffball might release hundreds of millions of spores in such a display. Children often deliberately puff ripe puffballs to watch the spore clouds emerge. The clouds demonstrate fungi's reproductive strategy through sheer numbers. Releasing billions of spores compensates for low individual survival probability. Raindrops hitting mushrooms or animals brushing past trigger natural spore releases. Wind then carries spores away, distributing them widely. The visible clouds represent only a fraction of spores released over a mushroom's life. Most spores drop invisibly, accumulating silently over hours or days. But these dramatic releases show reproduction happening in real time, making the usually invisible process briefly visible. The spore clouds also demonstrate why mushrooms exist, not as organisms in themselves but as reproductive structures, disposable tools for spreading genetic information. Each tiny spore in those clouds contains potential for new life, though most will never germinate. As you breathe slowly and deeply before sleep, consider that you're constantly inhaling microscopic spores, most harmless, part of the living atmosphere surrounding you. Fact 42, Mushroom Cultivation History. Mushroom cultivation has evolved from simple methods to sophisticated controlled environment agriculture. Early Chinese and Japanese shiitake cultivation involved cutting logs, inoculating them with spawn, and waiting years for mushrooms. European cultivation of white button mushrooms began in 17th century France, growing in limestone caves providing stable temperature and humidity. Cultivation techniques gradually improved, pasteurized substrates reduced contamination, pure cultures ensured consistent results, and environmental controls optimized conditions. Modern cultivation can occur year-round in climate-controlled facilities producing consistent harvests. Different mushrooms require different approaches. Button mushrooms grow on composted manure and straw, shiitake on supplemented hardwood sawdust, oyster mushrooms on straw or coffee grounds. The cultivation industry now produces millions of tons of mushrooms annually, making fresh mushrooms available far from forests. However, some highly prized mushrooms resist cultivation. Truffles, matsutake, morels, and chanterelles still come primarily from wild harvest. These species' complex mycorrhizal relationships or specific environmental requirements make cultivation difficult or impossible with current technology. The history shows how human ingenuity domesticated fungi, though some species remain wild and free. As you rest tonight, mushroom farms worldwide tend their crops, continuing humanity's partnership with cultivated fungi. Fact 43: Mushroom Art. Artists have long incorporated mushrooms into their work, from medieval manuscript illuminations to contemporary installations. The Art Nouveau movement embraced organic forms including mushrooms. Botanical illustrators created detailed scientific drawings of fungi, combining science and art. Contemporary artists use actual mushrooms as medium, growing mycelium into specific forms or using spore prints as prints. Some artists photograph mushrooms, capturing their ephemeral beauty and diverse forms. Digital artists create mushroom-inspired designs and patterns. The psychedelic art movement of the 1960s-70s heavily featured mushroom imagery. Children's book illustrations often include mushrooms as fairy houses or fantasy elements. Mushrooms' diverse colors, shapes, and associations with mystery and transformation make them compelling artistic subjects. Artists appreciate mushrooms' brief existence and the challenge of capturing them before they decay. Scientific illustration of fungi continues as both documentation and art. Museums display fungi art in natural history and art contexts. The intersection of science and aesthetics in mushroom art reflects these organisms' beauty and intrigue. As darkness settles tonight, consider how mushrooms inspire creativity, their forms and colors translated into human art, nature's designs reinterpreted through human imagination. Fact 44: Mushroom Symbiosis. Beyond mycorrhizal relationships with plants, fungi engage in numerous other symbiotic partnerships. Lichens are partnerships between fungi and algae or cyanobacteria. The fungus provides structure and protection while photosynthetic partner produces food. This partnership creates organisms that can survive in extreme environments neither partner could tolerate alone. Lichens can live on bare rock, in deserts, or in Arctic conditions. Some beetles carry specific fungi in special body pouches, inoculating their galleries with their fungal partners. The beetle benefits from fungal food, while fungus gets dispersal and substrate. Fungus-growing termites and ants maintain obligate relationships with specific fungi. These partnerships often involve coevolution where each partner adapts to the other over millions of years. Some partnerships are so ancient and intimate that partners can't survive independently. Other symbioses are facultative, beneficial but not essential. The prevalence of fungal partnerships demonstrates that cooperation is as important as competition in nature. Many organisms rely on fungal partners for nutrition, protection, or other benefits. As you rest tonight, these partnerships continue worldwide, billions of organisms cooperating in relationships evolution refined over deep time. Fact 45: Mushroom Identification Challenges. Correctly identifying wild mushrooms is difficult, requiring careful observation of multiple characteristics and often microscopic examination. Visual appearance isn't enough, many toxic mushrooms closely resemble edible species. Experts examine spore color through spore prints, gill attachment, cap texture, stem characteristics, bruising reactions, habitat, associated trees, season, and geographical location. Microscopic features like spore size and shape, presence of clamp connections in hyphae, and tissue structure provide definitive identification for difficult species. Chemical tests using reagents can distinguish lookalike species by their color reactions. DNA sequencing provides ultimate identification certainty. The challenge is that mushrooms vary in appearance as they age, in different weather, and between individuals of the same species. Some deadly mushrooms look like edible ones when young. Incomplete or damaged specimens are harder to identify. Field guides help but can't cover every species or variation. Many regions lack comprehensive mushroom guides. This complexity means that certain identification requires expertise developed over years of study and field experience. Beginning foragers should focus on distinctive species with no toxic lookalikes. As you drift towards sleep tonight, appreciate the complexity hiding in these seemingly simple organisms, each requiring careful study to truly know. Fact 46. Mushroom festivals. Communities worldwide celebrate mushrooms through festivals bringing together foragers, mycologists, chefs, and artists. These events typically include mushroom forays where experts lead groups on identification walks. Commercial vendors sell fresh, dried, and prepared mushrooms. Cooking demonstrations show preparation techniques for various species. Scientists give presentations about fungal ecology and biology. Art exhibits display mushroom-themed work. Some festivals include mushroom growing workshops teaching cultivation techniques. Competitions judge who found the biggest, rarest, or most mushrooms. Meals featuring regional mushroom dishes celebrate culinary traditions. These festivals strengthen community connections to local forests and seasonal cycles. They provide opportunities for knowledge exchange between amateur enthusiasts and professional mycologists. Festivals often include conservation messaging about sustainable foraging practices. Regional economies benefit from mushroom tourism during peak seasons. Some festivals have been held annually for decades, becoming cultural traditions. The gathering of mushroom enthusiasts creates community around shared fascination with fungi. These celebrations honor the relationship between people and mushrooms, recognizing both nutritional and cultural values. As you rest tonight, somewhere a community plans next season's festival, preparing to celebrate these humble but remarkable organisms that emerge briefly from forest floors each year. Fact 47. Mushroom spore dispersal mechanisms. Fungi evolved remarkably diverse mechanisms for dispersing spores beyond simple release into wind. Some mushrooms actively discharge spores, launching them from gill surfaces with tiny water droplets providing propulsion. The spores shoot a fraction of a millimeter, but that's enough to escape the mushroom's boundary layer into moving air. Stinkhorns produce foul-smelling spore masses that attract flies. The flies carry spores to new locations on their bodies. Birds' nest fungi use splash cup dispersal. Raindrops hit the small egg-like structures, splashing them out of the nest and away from the parent. Some mushrooms have hygroscopic structures that twist or snap with humidity changes, flinging spores. Truffles use aroma to attract animals that dig them up and spread spores through droppings. Cannonball fungi build up pressure and literally shoot spore masses through the air. Puffballs release spores when raindrops hit them or animals disturb them. Each mechanism solves the challenge of moving immobile spores away from parent mycelium. The diversity of strategies demonstrates natural selection's creativity in solving problems. These mechanisms evolved over millions of years, refined through countless generations. As you settle into rest tonight, consider these elegant solutions to dispersal challenges. Biology's engineering producing mechanisms both simple and sophisticated. Fact 48. Mushroom temperature requirements. Different mushrooms have specific temperature requirements for growth and fruiting, creating seasonal and geographic patterns. Mycelium can often tolerate wide temperature ranges, but fruiting requires specific temperatures. Cool weather mushrooms like oyster mushrooms fruit in autumn and spring when temperatures range between 50 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Morels fruit in spring when soil warms to specific temperatures after winter cold. Some tropical mushrooms require consistently warm temperatures year-round. Temperature fluctuations can trigger fruiting. Stable temperatures maintain mycelial growth, while temperature changes signal seasonal transitions that trigger reproductive fruiting. Some species require cold periods followed by warming, ensuring they fruit in spring when conditions favor spore dispersal and germination. Others need cooling after warm periods, fruiting in autumn. These requirements mean that climate change affects mushroom fruiting patterns, with some species appearing earlier, later, or not at all as temperature patterns shift. Cultivation must carefully control temperatures appropriate for each species. Understanding temperature requirements helps foragers predict when and where to search. The specificity demonstrates how finely tuned fungi are to environmental conditions, how integrated they are into seasonal and climatic patterns. As you rest in whatever temperature surrounds you tonight, mycelial networks underground sense temperature changes, responding to signals that tell them when conditions are right for fruiting. Fact 49. Mushroom vitamins. Mushrooms provide unique nutritional compounds, particularly vitamin D, making them unusual among plant-based foods. When mushroom fruiting bodies are exposed to UV light, they convert ergosterol to vitamin D2 through the same process that produces vitamin D in human skin exposed to sunlight. Commercially grown mushrooms can be treated with UV light to increase vitamin D content. This makes mushrooms one of few non-animal vitamin D sources. Fresh mushrooms also contain B vitamins including riboflavin, niacin, and pantothenic acid. They provide minerals like selenium, copper, and potassium. Mushrooms contain beta-glucans, complex carbohydrates that may support immune function. They're low in calories but provide umami flavor and satisfying texture. Different species have different nutritional profiles. Shiitake, maitake, and oyster mushrooms have been studied for potential health benefits beyond basic nutrition. Some compounds in medicinal mushrooms may have anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, or immune-modulating effects, though research continues. Mushrooms demonstrate that fungi provide not just ecosystem services but direct nutritional value to humans. They're neither plant nor animal but offer unique nutritional contributions. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider how mushrooms provide gifts to human health, their chemical complexity translating into nutritional value when we consume them. Fact 50. Mushroom growth rates. Mushrooms can grow astonishingly fast when conditions align, with some species reaching full size within hours or days. The rapid growth happens because the mycelium has already accumulated resources underground over weeks or months. When environmental triggers signal it's time to fruit, preformed mushroom structures expand rapidly by absorbing water and inflating cells. A mushroom isn't growing through cell division like most organisms, it's expanding like a balloon inflating. This explains how mushrooms can appear seemingly overnight. Some species grow several inches per day. Stinkhorns can emerge and reach full height within hours. The rapid emergence helps mushrooms take advantage of brief favorable conditions. Slow-growing mushrooms risk drying out, being eaten, or encountering unfavorable conditions before releasing spores. Speed matters for reproductive success. However, the mycelial network providing resources grew slowly and steadily, making rapid fruiting possible. The visible mushroom represents accumulated investment, suddenly manifested. This growth pattern differs fundamentally from plants' gradual growth. Some mushrooms also decompose rapidly. A mushroom might grow in a day and decay within a week. This ephemeral existence focuses energy on reproduction rather than persistence. As you rest tonight, somewhere mushrooms are growing in darkness, expanding rapidly, racing to fruit before conditions change. Fact 51. Mushroom insects. Numerous insect species specialize in mushrooms, spending their entire life cycles eating, breeding in, or farming fungi. Fungus gnats lay eggs in mushrooms, their larvae feeding on fungal tissue. Some beetles specifically consume mushrooms, their bodies adapted to process fungal nutrition and toxins. Slugs and snails frequently eat mushrooms. Springtails graze on mycelium in soil. Certain flies are attracted to stinkhorn's odor, feeding on spore masses and carrying spores elsewhere. These relationships can be parasitic, with insects consuming mushrooms without benefit to fungi. Others are mutualistic. Stinkhorns benefit when flies disperse spores. Some insects have specialized relationships with specific fungi. Pleasing fungus beetles carry fungal spores in special pouches, inoculating new substrate. Ambrosia beetles tunnel into trees and cultivate specific fungi in their galleries. Termites and ants farm fungi as their primary food source. These relationships evolved over millions of years, creating intricate dependencies. Mushrooms face the same predation pressures as other organisms, leading to defensive chemicals that deter some insects while others evolved resistance. The insect-mushroom relationships create complex food webs in forest ecosystems. As you drift toward sleep tonight, insects worldwide feed on mushrooms, lay eggs in fungal tissue, and spread spores, participants in relationships as old as insects and fungi themselves. Fact 52: Mushroom cloning. Mushroom cultivation relies heavily on cloning, growing new mycelium from tissue samples of desirable mushrooms. Cultivators select mushrooms with ideal characteristics, size, flavor, growth speed, disease resistance, and propagate them through cloning rather than spores. Tissue from a mushroom's interior can be transferred to sterile growth medium, where it generates new mycelium genetically identical to the parent. This cloning ensures consistent results, unlike spore-grown mushrooms which show genetic variation. A single outstanding mushroom can become the parent of millions through successive generations of cloning. Commercial mushroom strains have been maintained through cloning for decades. However, cloning can lead to problems, accumulated mutations or senescence where strains lose vigor over generations. Genetic diversity from sexual reproduction, mixing genes through spore formation, can create variation enabling adaptation. Some cultivators periodically create new strains by crossing different lines and selecting offspring with desired traits. Wild mushrooms maintain genetic diversity through spore reproduction, while cultivated mushrooms are often clonal populations. This parallels agriculture more broadly. Cultivation often sacrifices diversity for consistency. As you rest tonight, consider how mushroom cultivation mirrors broader human relationships with organisms we've domesticated, selecting and cloning desired traits while losing wild variability. Fact 53: Mushroom seasonality. Mushroom fruiting follows seasonal patterns created by temperature, moisture, and day length cues that vary by species and geography. Temperate regions see peak mushroom activity in autumn when temperature and moisture align. Spring brings morels and other early species. Summer heat reduces mushroom activity in many regions, though some species thrive in warmth. Winter sees few mushrooms except for hardy species fruiting during mild periods or on warm days. Tropical regions have different patterns. Mushroom fruiting often follows rainy seasons rather than specific temperatures. Desert species fruit explosively after rare rains. Mediterranean climates see autumn and winter mushrooms when rains return after dry summers. These patterns reflect fungi's integration into climatic and seasonal cycles. Climate change is shifting some patterns. Warming temperatures bring earlier spring fruiting, extended autumn seasons, and mild winter fruiting in traditionally frozen regions. Such shifts can disrupt ecological relationships if mushrooms and their associated organisms fall out of synchronization. Understanding seasonal patterns helps foragers and researchers predict mushroom appearances. These patterns also demonstrate how fungi sense and respond to environmental cues, adjusting reproduction to maximize spore dispersal success. As seasons slowly turn, mycelial networks underground track cumulative temperature and moisture, preparing to fruit when their biological calendars signal the optimal moment. Fact 54, Mushroom Conservation. Some mushroom species face conservation concerns from habitat loss, climate change, and overharvesting. Old-growth forest specialists depend on specific conditions found only in mature forests. When ancient forests are logged, these mushrooms disappear. Mycorrhizal species need their tree partners. When forests are cleared, associated fungi are lost. Climate change affects mushrooms directly through temperature and moisture changes and indirectly by affecting vegetation. Some rare mushrooms have very limited ranges, making them vulnerable to local disturbances. Overharvesting concerns arise for highly sought species like Matsutake, particularly when commercial harvest exceeds sustainable levels. However, assessing mushroom conservation status is challenging. The mycelium, the actual organism, lives underground and invisibly. Mushroom presence or absence doesn't necessarily reflect mycelium health. Many fungi remain undescribed by science, so their conservation needs are unknown. Protecting habitats protects fungi, though specific fungal conservation receives less attention than plant or animal conservation. Sustainable foraging practices help, taking only some mushrooms, not disturbing mycelium, and leaving small or young specimens. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider that fungi need conservation attention too. Their hidden nature making them easy to overlook despite their ecosystem importance, invisible threads requiring protection like more visible life. Fact 55, Mushroom Market Values. Certain mushrooms command extraordinary market prices, making them economically significant. White truffles from Italy can sell for thousands of dollars per pound, with individual specimens fetching tens of thousands. Matsutake mushrooms in Japan are expensive gifts, with top-grade specimens costing hundreds of dollars. Morels, chanterelles, and porcini bring premium prices in restaurants and markets. These high values reflect rarity, difficulty of cultivation, flavor intensity, and cultural significance. The truffle market supports professional hunters, trained dogs, and international trade. Matsutake prices collapsed when imports from other countries undercut Japanese production, showing how globalization affects traditional markets. Wild mushroom harvesting provides income for rural communities, particularly in economically depressed regions. However, high values can encourage overharvesting, threatening long-term sustainability. Black market harvesting on public lands creates management challenges. Commercial mushroom cultivation, producing button, oyster, and shiitake mushrooms affordably, satisfies mass market demand while wild specialty mushrooms serve luxury markets. The economic value reflects human appreciation for mushroom flavors, and the difficulty of producing some species. As you rest tonight, mushroom markets continue their cycles, scarcity creating value, value driving harvest, the ancient human practice of gathering forest gifts now global business. Fact 56, Mushroom Root Connection. Mycorrhizal relationships between fungi and plant roots represent some of nature's most important partnerships. The fungal hyphae penetrate root cells or surround roots with dense mycelial sheaths, depending on mycorrhizal type. These connections form living bridges between soil and plants. The fungal networks extend root systems by orders of magnitude. What might be inches of roots becomes yards or miles of fungal hyphae accessing soil volume and nutrients beyond plant reach. The fungi efficiently extract phosphorus, nitrogen, and other nutrients from soil, trading them to plants for carbon-rich sugars from photosynthesis. This exchange benefits both partners enormously. Plants with mycorrhizal partners grow faster, resist drought better, and fight diseases more successfully. The fungi receive steady nutrition enabling extensive mycelial growth. Some plant species absolutely require mycorrhizal partners to survive. Orchids, for example, can't germinate without appropriate fungi. Forest trees connect through these mycorrhizal networks, creating what scientists call common mycorrhizal networks or wood wide webs. These networks can transfer resources between plants and possibly chemical signals. The relationships are so fundamental that terrestrial ecosystems would collapse without them. As you rest tonight, billions of mycorrhizal connections worldwide maintain the partnerships enabling forests and grasslands to thrive, underground handshakes between kingdoms sustaining visible life. Fact 57, Mushroom Spore Colors. Mushroom spores come in diverse colors: white, cream, yellow, pink, salmon, brown, purple-brown, black, and spore color is crucial for identification. The color comes from pigments in spore walls that may protect against UV radiation or serve other functions. Spore color doesn't necessarily match mushroom color. A brown mushroom might have white spores, a white mushroom might have brown spores. Determining spore color requires making a spore print, placing a mushroom cap on paper and allowing spores to accumulate. The color visible in a spore print may differ from individual spore color under microscope, as accumulated millions of spores create collective color. Some mushrooms have spores that change color as they mature. The variation in spore colors reflects chemical diversity across fungal species. Each pigment represents different compounds with potentially different properties. Some spore pigments have been studied for pharmaceutical potential. The rainbow of spore colors demonstrates fungi's chemical creativity, producing diverse molecules that color their reproductive cells. For mushroom identifiers, spore color narrows possibilities significantly. Many similar-looking mushrooms have different spore colors. As you settle into sleep tonight, imagine the invisible diversity of spores floating everywhere, each colored by its species' unique chemistry, tiny capsules painted in nature's varied palette. Fact 58, Mushroom Freezing Tolerance. Some mushrooms tolerate freezing temperatures remarkably well, with mycelium surviving frozen soil through winter. Cold-hardy fungi produce compounds that prevent ice crystal formation, similar to antifreeze. These cryoprotectants allow cellular contents to remain liquid below normal freezing points. When temperatures rise, mycelium resumes growth as if nothing happened. Some mushrooms can actually fruit in freezing weather. Winter mushrooms like velvet foot grow during winter thaws, their mushrooms freezing solid at night and thawing during day without damage. This freeze tolerance enables fungi to inhabit cold climates and persist through winter. Spores also tolerate freezing, remaining viable after multiple freeze-thaw cycles. This resilience contributes to fungi's global distribution. They can colonize and persist in nearly any terrestrial environment. Alpine and Arctic fungi use freeze tolerance to survive extreme conditions. Cultivators can preserve fungal cultures by freezing inappropriate preservatives, maintaining strains long-term. The mechanisms enabling freeze tolerance fascinate researchers studying cold adaptation. Understanding how fungi prevent cellular damage during freezing might inform preservation of other biological materials. As you rest in whatever temperature surrounds you, fungi worldwide demonstrate that life can adapt to cold through chemistry, patience, and resilience. Fact 59, Mushroom Myths. Mushrooms feature prominently in folklore and mythology across cultures, often associated with magic, mystery, and the supernatural. Fairy rings were believed to mark where fairies danced, with warnings against entering these circles. Mushrooms growing in circles seemed mysterious before mycelial growth patterns were understood. In many cultures, mushrooms' sudden appearance seemed magical, present one day, absent the next. Bioluminescent mushrooms inspired stories of ghost lights and spirits. Psychedelic mushrooms influenced religious practices and shamanic traditions. Some cultures viewed mushrooms as food of the gods or portals to other realms. Others considered them cursed or poisonous. The association with decay and death gave mushrooms dark symbolism in some traditions. Germanic and Norse mythology featured mushrooms in stories. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland popularized mushrooms as consciousness-altering. Modern fantasy frequently includes mushrooms, fairy homes, magical ingredients, or sentient fungi. These myths reflect human fascination with mushrooms' mysterious qualities, sudden appearance, diverse forms, psychoactive properties, and toxicity. The myths also show how pre-scientific cultures explained mushrooms through supernatural narratives. As darkness surrounds you tonight, consider how mushrooms straddle the boundary between ordinary and mysterious, inspiring imagination across cultures and generations, their real biology strange enough to inspire fantastic stories. Fact 60, Mushroom Spore Germination. When a mushroom spore lands in favorable conditions, germination begins, the spore shell cracks and a tiny hypha emerges, beginning new mycelial growth. However, favorable conditions are extremely specific: appropriate moisture, temperature, pH, and often the presence of specific nutrients or chemicals. Many spores never germinate because conditions aren't quite right. For some species, two compatible spores must meet and fuse before vigorous growth begins. A single spore alone can't establish a colony. This requirement for mating types reduces inbreeding and maintains genetic diversity. The emerging hypha explores its environment chemically, growing toward nutrients and away from toxins. If conditions remain favorable, the single hypha branches repeatedly, forming mycelial networks. If conditions deteriorate before the mycelium establishes, the young colony dies. This vulnerable stage explains why spore production must be massive. Most spores never germinate, and most germinated spores don't establish viable colonies. Only a tiny fraction succeed. This reproductive strategy through overwhelming numbers rather than parental care is common in organisms producing numerous offspring. As you rest tonight, somewhere spores that fell today are germinating, tiny hyphae emerging into darkness, beginning journeys that most won't complete, each one potential but few achieving growth to maturity. Fact 61, Mushroom Substrate Preferences. Different fungi specialize in decomposing different materials, creating functional diversity in decomposition. Wood decomposers have enzymes breaking down cellulose and lignin in trees. Dung decomposers specialize in nutrient-rich but chemically challenging animal waste. Leaf litter decomposers process fallen leaves' varied chemistry. Some fungi grow only on specific trees, certain polypores grow exclusively on conifers, others on hardwoods. This specificity reflects evolutionary adaptations to specific chemical environments. Each substrate presents different challenges requiring different enzymatic capabilities. Wood is tough and nutrient-poor but persistent. Dung is nutrient-rich but temporary, and potentially toxic. Leaves vary in chemistry by species. Fungi evolved to exploit these different niches, reducing competition by specializing. Cultivators must match substrate to species. Button mushrooms need composted manure, shiitake prefer hardwood, oyster mushrooms grow on straw. Understanding substrate preferences helps foragers know where to search, looking for chanterelles near pines, finding morels under elms, seeking oyster mushrooms on dead hardwood. This specialization creates niche differentiation, enabling numerous fungal species to coexist in ecosystems. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider how fungi have divided nature's decomposition work among specialists, each adapted to break down specific materials, collectively recycling everything organic. Fact 62, Mushroom Color Changes. Many mushrooms change color as they age, bruise, or are cut, chemical reactions revealing internal chemistry. Some mushrooms bruise blue when damaged, indigo milk caps, certain boletes, the blue coming from oxidation of compounds exposed to air. Others turn red, yellow, or black. These color changes help identification and suggest chemical complexity. The blue bruising in some mushrooms relates to compounds similar to those making psilocybin mushrooms psychoactive, though blue staining doesn't necessarily indicate psychoactivity. Some mushrooms darken with age as spores mature, young white mushrooms becoming brown. Others fade as pigments break down. Milk cap mushrooms exude colored latex when cut. The indigo milk cap bleeds brilliant blue milk. Chlorophyllum molybdites, the green-spored parasol, has gills that turn green as spores develop. These color changes demonstrate ongoing chemistry. Mushrooms aren't static objects but dynamic tissues with active metabolism. The reactions occurring when mushrooms are damaged or age reveal compounds that might have defensive, structural, or other functions. Observing color changes requires attention and patience, waiting to see how bruised tissue changes over minutes or hours. As you rest tonight, somewhere damaged mushrooms slowly change color through chemical reactions, their internal chemistry painting new hues, revealing hidden complexity through transformation. Fact 63, Mushroom Fragrance. Mushrooms produce diverse aromas from pleasant to putrid, scents that serve various ecological functions. Matsutake mushrooms have intense, spicy cinnamon aroma prized in Japanese cuisine. Candy cap mushrooms smell like maple syrup or butterscotch. Truffle aroma, a complex mix of compounds, attracts animals that dig up and disperse these underground mushrooms. Stinkhorns produce putrid, carrion-like odors attracting flies for spore dispersal. Some mushrooms smell like anise, almonds, or cucumbers. Others have unpleasant chemical or rancid odors. Scent helps identification. Some toxic mushrooms smell foul, warning away potential consumers. The aromas come from volatile compounds released by mushroom tissue. Some compounds may defend against predators. Foul smells deter some animals. Attractive scents bring dispersers. The chemical diversity producing these varied scents reflects fungi's sophisticated biochemistry. Each scent represents specific molecules carefully synthesized. Scientists study mushroom scent compounds for potential applications. Truffle aroma compounds are analyzed for artificial truffle flavoring. The importance of scent in mushroom ecology demonstrates how organisms communicate through chemistry. As you breathe slowly before sleep, consider that mushrooms speak through scent, chemical messages drifting on air, silent conversations between fungi and those who might eat or disperse them. Fact 64, Mushroom water content. Mushrooms are typically 80 to 95% water, making them extremely hydrated organisms. This high water content explains their rapid growth. Absorbing water inflates preformed structures rather than requiring slow cell division. It also explains their vulnerability to desiccation. Mushrooms dry quickly when humidity drops. The water content gives mushrooms their texture. Firm when fresh, they become tough or slimy as they age and water content changes. When cooking mushrooms, much of their volume disappears as water evaporates, concentrating flavor and nutrition. Drying mushrooms removes most water weight, creating lightweight, concentrated products. The high water content makes mushrooms low in calories. They're mostly water with small amounts of protein, carbohydrates, and fiber. Mycelium also contains significant water, helping transport nutrients through hyphal networks. The water in mushrooms isn't just bulk but includes dissolved nutrients, enzymes, and metabolic compounds. Managing moisture is crucial in mushroom cultivation. Too little causes problems, too much encourages contamination. The water content connects mushrooms to their humid environments. They thrive where moisture is abundant and struggle in dryness. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider how mushrooms are essentially water held in fungal form, temporary structures that are mostly liquid, solid enough to stand but fundamentally fluid. Fact 65, mushroom respiration. Like all organisms, mushrooms respire, consuming oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide. This respiration provides energy for growth, maintenance, and reproduction. The mycelium breathes continuously through its vast surface area, hyphae exchanging gases with surrounding substrate. Mushroom fruiting bodies also respire, their metabolism supporting rapid growth and spore production. In enclosed environments, mushroom cultivation requires air exchange. Without fresh air, carbon dioxide accumulates and oxygen depletes, slowing growth. Some mushrooms tolerate lower oxygen than others. The respiration rate increases during active growth and fruiting. This oxygen consumption makes mushrooms active participants in ecosystem carbon cycling. They take in oxygen and release CO2 during decomposition. The CO2 released returns carbon from dead organic matter to the atmosphere, completing cycles that begin with plant photosynthesis capturing atmospheric carbon. Mushroom respiration demonstrates that fungi are living, metabolically active organisms, not static growths. Their breathing, though invisible and unheard, continues constantly while mycelium extends and mushrooms develop. Understanding mushroom respiration helps cultivators provide appropriate conditions and helps ecologists model ecosystem processes. As you breathe slowly and deeply before sleep, your respiration and mushrooms' respiration follow the same basic biochemistry: oxygen to carbon dioxide, energy released from breaking molecular bonds. Fact 66. Mushroom genetics. Fungal genetics are remarkably diverse and complex, differing significantly from plant or animal genetics. Many fungi have multiple mating types, sometimes dozens, rather than simple male/female. Compatible mating types must meet for sexual reproduction, ensuring genetic diversity. Some fungi have 4 different genes that must match between mates. This complexity prevents inbreeding and maintains variation. Fungal genomes vary enormously in size, some are compact, others sprawling. Fungi can have unusual numbers of chromosomes and sometimes harbor multiple nuclei per cell. Horizontal gene transfer, where genes move between unrelated organisms, occurs in fungi. This allows rapid adaptation by acquiring useful genes from neighbors. Cultivated mushrooms have been genetically studied to understand traits like growth rate, flavor, and disease resistance. Wild fungi maintain much more genetic diversity than cultivated strains. Understanding fungal genetics helps cultivators breed improved strains and helps ecologists understand fungal evolution and adaptation. The genetic mechanisms enabling fungi to adapt to diverse environments are still being discovered. As you rest tonight, fungal DNA worldwide continues encoding the information directing mycelial growth, mushroom formation, and enzyme production, ancient code refined over billions of years of evolution, instructions for survival written in molecular language. Fact 67. Mushroom farming waste. Mushroom cultivation generates spent substrate after harvest, material depleted of nutrients and no longer productive. This waste material, though exhausted for mushroom growth, has value. Spent substrate contains remaining organic matter and nutrients useful for soil amendment. Gardeners and farmers use it as compost, or mulch. The substrate has been partially decomposed by fungi, making remaining nutrients more available to plants. Some farms feed spent substrate to animals, certain livestock and digest it. Others use it for bioenergy, burning it for heat or processing it into biogas. The challenge is that large commercial operations generate enormous volumes of spent substrate requiring disposal or use. Finding beneficial uses reduces waste and adds value to cultivation operations. Some innovative approaches include using spent substrate to grow other mushroom species that can colonize previously used material. The spent substrate issue demonstrates challenges in making agricultural systems circular rather than linear. Inputs become waste unless creative solutions find new uses. As you drift towards sleep, spent substrate from today's mushroom harvest piles up, waiting for its next purpose, material that fed mushrooms now ready to feed something else, waste becoming resource through reimagining. Fact 68, Mushroom Taxonomy. Classifying and naming mushrooms scientifically is complex, with taxonomy constantly revised as new information emerges. Traditional classification used visible characteristics, cap shape, gill attachment, spore color. Modern taxonomy increasingly relies on DNA analysis, revealing evolutionary relationships invisible through appearance alone. This molecular approach has revolutionized fungal classification, discovering that similar-looking mushrooms may be distantly related while different-looking ones may be close relatives. Convergent evolution created similar forms in unrelated lineages. DNA studies revealed that many named species are actually species complexes, groups of closely related but distinct species previously lumped together. Some mushrooms have been moved between genera or families as relationships are clarified. Amateur identifiers still use traditional characteristics, but scientific naming follows molecular discoveries. This creates confusion when familiar names change or species are split. The work continues, many fungi remain undescribed, and relationships among described species need clarification. Mycologists estimate that only a small fraction of fungal species have been formally described. As you rest tonight, scientists worldwide work on fungal taxonomy, analyzing DNA sequences, describing new species, and revising classifications, slowly mapping the mushroom kingdom's family tree. Fact 69. Mushroom antibiotics. Beyond penicillin, mushrooms produce various compounds with antibiotic properties that help them compete with bacteria and other organisms. These antimicrobial compounds defend mycelium from bacterial attack and help fungi colonize substrates against competition. Some mushroom antibiotics have been studied for potential medical use. Certain polypore mushrooms produce compounds active against antibiotic-resistant bacteria, offering hope for treating difficult infections. Turkey tail and other mushrooms contain compounds that modulate immune function. The challenge is isolating, purifying, and testing these compounds through drug development processes. Many mushroom compounds work differently from conventional antibiotics, potentially offering alternatives as resistance grows. However, not all compounds effective in laboratory tests work in living organisms. They may be toxic, poorly absorbed, or rapidly metabolized. Mushroom antibiotic research continues, seeking novel antimicrobial strategies. The compounds evolved through billions of years of microbial warfare, fungi developing chemical weapons against bacterial competitors. This ancient arms race produced sophisticated chemistry humans might harness. As you rest tonight, your body maintains its own microbial balance, and mushrooms worldwide produce antibiotic compounds, chemical warfare continuing at microscopic scales, evolution's weapons possibly becoming medicine's tools. Fact 70, Mushroom Photography. Photographing mushrooms presents unique challenges and opportunities, combining technical skill with artistic vision. Mushrooms grow in dim forest understory, requiring careful lighting. Their three-dimensional forms benefit from lighting that reveals texture and depth. Macro photography captures details invisible to naked eyes, spore patterns, gill structures, surface textures. The ephemeral nature of mushrooms means photographers must work quickly before specimens decay. Rain, dew, and forest light create atmospheric opportunities. Photographing bioluminescent mushrooms requires long exposures in darkness. Different approaches serve different purposes. Scientific photography documents identifying features clearly, while artistic photography emphasizes beauty and mood. The diversity of mushroom colors, shapes, and settings provides endless subjects. Photographing in natural habitats shows mushrooms in ecological context, while studio photography controls lighting and background. Many photographers specialize in fungi, creating portfolios celebrating mushroom diversity. Their work educates and inspires, making visible the beauty often overlooked. Photography preserves mushroom images after specimens decay, creating permanent records of ephemeral organisms. As darkness settles tonight, mushrooms wait invisibly in forests, future subjects for photographers who will document their brief existence, translating three-dimensional, living organisms into two-dimensional, frozen images that persist beyond the mushroom's brief lives. Fact 71. Mushroom substrate sterilization. Mushroom cultivation often requires sterilizing substrate to eliminate competing organisms before inoculation. Heat sterilization uses pressure cookers or steam, killing bacteria, molds, and other fungi that would compete with cultivated mushroom mycelium. The substrate reaches high temperatures for sufficient time to achieve sterilization. After cooling, the sterile substrate is inoculated with desired mushroom spawn in clean conditions. Contamination by unwanted organisms is a constant challenge. Bacteria and wild fungi are everywhere, ready to colonize any suitable substrate. Some cultivators pasteurize rather than fully sterilize, using lower temperatures that kill most competitors while preserving beneficial organisms. The choice depends on the cultivated species' competitive ability. Aggressive colonizers can outcompete contaminants in pasteurized substrate, while slower-growing species need sterile substrate. Maintaining cleanliness throughout cultivation prevents contamination. The necessity of sterilization demonstrates how competitive the microbial world is. Countless organisms seek the same resources, and giving cultivated mushrooms advantage requires removing competition. This battle between cultivation and contamination represents humanity's attempt to control natural processes, creating artificial conditions favoring desired organisms. As you rest tonight, cultivators worldwide sterilize substrate, preparing blank slates for mushroom colonization, temporary victories in the endless competition among microorganisms. Fact 72. Mushroom spore banks. Scientists maintain spore banks preserving fungal genetic diversity, similar to seed banks for plants. These collections store spores at low temperatures where they remain viable for years or decades. The banks preserve wild strains that might be lost as habitats disappear and maintain cultivated strains' genetic diversity. Researchers can access stored spores to study fungal diversity, revive old strains or compare changes over time. Spore banks serve conservation. If species decline or disappear in nature, stored spores might enable restoration. They also preserve genetic resources for future use. Compounds or traits not currently valued might become important later. Maintaining spore banks requires careful protocols, proper storage conditions, regular viability testing, and organized cataloging. International networks coordinate collections to avoid redundancy and gaps. However, spore banks can't preserve everything. Some fungi don't produce spores in culture, and storage techniques don't work for all species. Living cultures maintained through serial transfer complement spore storage. These collections represent foresight and responsibility, preserving diversity for uncertain futures. As you drift towards sleep, spore banks worldwide hold frozen potential, genetic diversity preserved against loss, humanity's attempt to maintain options, seeds of fungal futures waiting in suspended animation. Fact 73. Mushroom biotechnology. Genetic engineering and biotechnology are being applied to mushrooms, though less extensively than to plants or animals. Scientists have genetically modified some mushroom species to study gene function or enhance desired traits. The goal might be increased yield, improved nutrition, disease resistance, or enhanced production of useful compounds. CRISPR gene editing enables precise genetic modifications. However, genetically modified mushrooms face regulatory hurdles and public skepticism. Most mushroom biotechnology focuses on selecting and breeding improved strains conventionally rather than genetic modification. Scientists study mushroom genomes to understand traits like enzyme production, stress tolerance, and growth patterns. This knowledge enables better conventional breeding. Some research explores using fungi as factories for producing pharmaceuticals or industrial enzymes, inserting genes for desired compounds into fast-growing fungi. Fungi's ability to produce complex molecules makes them potential bioreactors. The biotechnology applications are still developing, with technical challenges and ethical questions remaining. As you rest tonight, consider how mushroom biotechnology might shape future cultivation, medicine, and industry. Fungi's natural capabilities enhanced through human knowledge and manipulation, ancient organisms becoming modern tools. Fact 74: Mushroom predators. While insects are mushrooms' primary predators, other animals also consume fungi. Deer, elk, and other ungulates eat mushrooms opportunistically. Small mammals like squirrels and mice eat mushrooms and cache them for winter. Some species specialize in mycophagy, eating fungi. Flying squirrels in Pacific forests eat primarily truffles and other mushrooms. The northern flying squirrel's diet is over 50% fungal. Many animals that eat mushrooms help disperse spores through droppings. This creates mutualistic relationships where animals gain nutrition and fungi gain dispersal. Some animals tolerate mushroom toxins that would sicken others, having evolved resistance. Slugs and snails feed heavily on mushrooms, often completely consuming specimens. This predation pressure shaped mushroom evolution. Toxins, unpleasant flavors, and rapid spore release before consumption are defensive strategies. The predator-prey dynamics between animals and mushrooms mirror those in other ecosystems, creating selective pressures driving adaptations. Observing animal-mushroom interactions reveals ecological relationships often overlooked. As you settle into rest tonight, these relationships continue worldwide: animals seeking mushroom nutrition, mushrooms defending themselves chemically, an evolutionary dance millions of years old. Fact 75: Mushroom molecular biology. At the molecular level, mushrooms are extraordinary chemical factories producing thousands of different compounds. These molecules include enzymes for decomposition, structural proteins, pigments, toxins, and secondary metabolites with various functions. The molecular machinery enabling this production is sophisticated. Genes encode proteins, which catalyze reactions building complex molecules. Some pathways involve dozens of steps, each requiring specific enzymes. Fungi evolved these biosynthetic pathways over hundreds of millions of years, refining chemistry for survival and reproduction. Scientists study mushroom molecular biology to understand how fungi produce useful compounds, hoping to harness these pathways for biotechnology. Some compounds resist chemical synthesis, but fungi produce them efficiently. Understanding the genetics and biochemistry enables scientists to enhance production or modify compounds. Mushroom molecular biology also reveals evolutionary history. Comparing genes between species shows relationships and adaptation. The field combines biochemistry, genetics, and cell biology, requiring sophisticated techniques to study processes occurring in microscopic hyphae and mushroom tissues. As you rest tonight, mushroom cells worldwide execute molecular programs: DNA directing RNA directing protein directing chemistry, the fundamental processes of life operating in fungal flesh. Fact 76: Mushroom root networks. The mycorrhizal networks connecting trees through shared fungal partners create what scientists call the Wood Wide Web, underground communication and exchange networks. These networks enable nutrient transfer between trees. Mother trees can support offspring through shared fungal connections. Dying trees may transfer nutrients to neighbors before death. The networks also might carry chemical signals. Trees under pest attack might send warning signals through fungal networks, allowing nearby trees to activate defenses preemptively. The extent and importance of these networks is still being studied. Some researchers believe they're crucial for forest health and resilience. Others question how much material actually transfers through networks versus just being present in shared fungi. The networks certainly connect plants, but what exactly they communicate, and how much they matter remains partially uncertain. What's clear is that mycorrhizal fungi create physical connections linking individual plants into networks. The implications are profound. Instead of viewing forests as collections of individual trees, this perspective sees interconnected communities where fungi mediate plant relationships. As you drift towards sleep, consider these underground networks, silent connections binding forests into living webs, trees linked through fungal threads. Fact 77, Mushroom Evolution Timing. Fungi diverged from animals about 1 billion years ago, making them our distant cousins. The fungi kingdom evolved before plants colonized land, with fungi possibly facilitating that colonization through symbiotic partnerships. Early fungi were aquatic, transitioning to land as environments changed. The evolution of fruiting bodies, mushrooms, came later, once fungi were established on land. Different mushroom forms evolved at different times. Some ancient fungal lineages produce simple fruiting structures, while complex gilled mushrooms are relatively recent innovations. Fossilized fungi are rare because fungal tissue decays rapidly, making evolutionary history difficult to trace. Most knowledge comes from molecular studies comparing genes to estimate divergence times. These molecular clocks suggest major fungal groups, separated hundreds of millions of years ago. Throughout this evolutionary history, fungi adapted to changing environments, developed new decomposition strategies, and formed partnerships with emerging plant groups. The evolutionary timing places fungi among Earth's ancient organisms, witnesses to the development of terrestrial life. As you rest tonight, consider that fungi predate most of what we consider modern life, ancient lineages that have adapted and persisted while other organisms came and went. Fact 78. Mushroom Ethnobotany. The relationship between humans and mushrooms extends deep into history, with evidence of mushroom use dating back millennia. Ethnobotanists study how different cultures have used mushrooms for food, medicine, ceremony, and tools. Each culture developed local knowledge about which mushrooms were safe, how to prepare them, and what medicinal properties they held. This traditional knowledge represents countless generations of observation and experimentation. Some cultures embraced mushrooms enthusiastically. Eastern European, Japanese, and Chinese cultures all have rich mushroom traditions. Others were more mycophobic, regarding mushrooms with suspicion. The ancient Greeks wrote about mushrooms, and Roman emperors prized certain species. Indigenous peoples across continents used mushrooms ceremonially and medicinally. The Aztecs used psychedelic mushrooms ritually, knowledge suppressed during colonization but preserved in some communities. Modern ethnobotany works to document traditional mushroom knowledge before it's lost, recognizing its value both culturally and scientifically. Traditional knowledge sometimes reveals mushroom properties unknown to science. As darkness surrounds you tonight, consider how human-mushroom relationships span cultures and millennia, each culture developing unique understandings of their local fungi, knowledge embedded in languages, stories, and practices. Fact 79, Mushroom Climate Indicators. Mushrooms serve as indicators of environmental conditions and climate change, their fruiting patterns reflecting temperature and moisture regimes. Long-term records of mushroom appearances show shifts corresponding to climate warming, earlier spring species, extended autumn seasons, and changing community composition. Some species decline as conditions exceed their tolerances while others expand ranges. Monitoring mushroom communities helps track ecosystem responses to climate change. However, distinguishing climate effects from other factors is challenging. Land use changes, pollution, and disease also affect fungi. Citizen science projects engage mushroom enthusiasts in documenting species occurrences, creating datasets tracking changes over time. These records help scientists understand how fungi respond to environmental change. Some mushrooms might indicate pollution levels, heavy metal contamination, or habitat quality. Their sensitivity to conditions makes them useful monitors. Climate change affects fungi both directly through temperature and moisture and indirectly through effects on vegetation and soil. Understanding these responses helps predict ecosystem futures and plan conservation strategies. As you settle into rest, mushroom communities worldwide respond to changing conditions, their fruiting patterns writing climate change stories in biological data. Fact 80, Mushroom Bioluminescence Mechanism. The chemistry creating mushroom bioluminescence involves luciferin molecules that emit light when oxidized by oxygen, catalyzed by luciferase enzymes. The reaction releases energy as photons in the green wavelength range, around 520 nanometers. This matches insects' visual sensitivity, supporting the hypothesis that bioluminescence evolved to attract insect dispersers. The genes encoding luciferin synthesis and luciferase production have been identified in some bioluminescent fungi. Interestingly, different fungal lineages evolved bioluminescence independently using different chemical pathways, suggesting strong selective advantages. The light production requires metabolic energy. Fungi must synthesize luciferin and luciferase, and the reaction consumes oxygen. This cost means bioluminescence must provide benefits justifying the expense. Beyond attracting dispersers, bioluminescence might deter predators or serve functions scientists haven't yet identified. The intensity varies between species and conditions, some glow brightly enough to read by, others barely visible to dark-adapted eyes. Understanding the molecular mechanism enables potential applications. Scientists can transfer bioluminescence genes to other organisms, creating glowing plants or living lights. As you rest in darkness tonight, remember that some mushrooms refuse darkness, making their own light through elegant chemistry. Fact 81, Mushroom Spore Longevity. Mushroom spores can remain viable for surprisingly long periods under proper conditions, though viability gradually declines over time. Some spores, stored cool and dry, remain viable for decades. This longevity enables spores to wait through unfavorable periods, germinating when conditions improve. However, most spores in nature don't last that long, exposed to UV radiation, desiccation, temperature extremes, and microbial attack, they degrade within months or years. The variation in spore longevity between species reflects different life strategies. Some fungi produce spores that germinate quickly, while others produce durable spores that persist. Stored spores require specific conditions. Low temperature and humidity prevent premature germination and slow degradation. Spore banks test viability periodically, germinating samples to ensure collections remain viable. The ability of spores to persist enables fungi to colonize new areas and survive disturbances. A forest fire might kill mycelium but leave viable spores in soil. When conditions improve, spores can germinate and recolonize. This resilience contributes to fungi's evolutionary success. As you drift towards sleep tonight, countless spores lie dormant in soil and on surfaces, patient travelers waiting for conditions that signal it's time to grow. Fact 82, Mushroom Farming Innovations. Modern mushroom cultivation continues evolving through technological innovation and scientific understanding. Automated systems control temperature, humidity, CO2 levels, and air exchange precisely. LED lighting with specific wavelengths can enhance growth or modify mushroom characteristics. Vertical farming in controlled environments maximizes space efficiency. Some facilities grow mushrooms on agricultural or food waste, converting refuse into food. Others use spent coffee grounds, brewery waste, or paper products. Innovations in substrate preparation, spawn production, and fruiting techniques increase yields and reduce costs. Genetic selection produces strains with desired characteristics, faster growth, disease resistance, improved flavor. Some growers experiment with novel species beyond traditional button, oyster, and shiitake mushrooms. Mushroom cultivation is becoming more efficient and environmentally sustainable. Energy costs remain significant, but renewable power integration reduces carbon footprints. Water recycling systems minimize waste. The industry grows as demand increases for mushrooms' nutritional value and as meat alternatives. Future innovations might include cellular agriculture producing mushroom proteins without growing whole mushrooms. As you rest tonight, mushroom cultivation evolves, ancient partnerships between humans and fungi expressed through increasingly sophisticated technology. Fact 83, Mushroom Healing Properties. Beyond specific medicinal compounds, some cultures attribute general healing and wellness properties to mushrooms, viewing them as tonics or adaptogens. Traditional medicine systems use mushrooms to support overall health rather than treating specific diseases. Reishi mushrooms in Chinese medicine are called mushrooms of immortality, believed to promote longevity and vitality. Modern research investigates whether mushrooms have general immune-supporting properties through compounds like beta-glucans that might modulate immune function. Some studies suggest mushroom polysaccharides support healthy immune responses, though mechanisms aren't fully understood. Other research examines mushrooms' antioxidant properties, anti-inflammatory effects, and potential to support cardiovascular health. The challenge is distinguishing legitimate effects from placebo responses and cultural beliefs. Many traditional uses lack rigorous scientific validation. However, the consistent use across cultures suggests some real effects beyond superstition. Modern medical systems are increasingly willing to study traditional healing practices scientifically. Some mushroom compounds are being investigated as complementary cancer treatments, though evidence remains preliminary. As you settle into peaceful rest tonight, consider that mushrooms' contributions to human health might extend beyond nutrition to subtle wellness effects, their complex chemistry potentially offering gentle support for body and health. Fact 84, Mushroom Culinary Techniques. Cooking mushrooms properly requires understanding their unique characteristics, high water content, absorptive texture, and flavor compounds. High heat cooking drives off moisture quickly, concentrating flavor and creating desirable browning. Low, gentle heat can make mushrooms watery and bland. Mushrooms shouldn't be crowded in pans. Overcrowding releases water faster than it can evaporate, steaming rather than browning. Different species have different cooking requirements. Delicate mushrooms like enoki need minimal cooking, while tough polypores require extended simmering. Some mushrooms must be cooked thoroughly to destroy mild toxins or make them digestible. Others are best fresh. Drying intensifies flavors in some species. Dried porcini are more flavorful than fresh. Marinating, pickling, and fermenting create different flavor profiles. Proper cleaning varies by species. Some brush clean easily, others need washing despite conventional advice against washing mushrooms. Understanding mushroom structure, whether they're fragile or robust, how they hold water, how their flavors develop, enables better cooking. Many people never properly cook mushrooms, missing their potential. As you rest tonight, somewhere chefs are cooking mushrooms skillfully, understanding their nature, transforming fungal tissue into delicious food, ancient human practice refined through generations. Fact 85, Mushroom Structural Support. Mushroom fruiting bodies need structural support to stand upright and maintain form while releasing spores. The structure comes from interwoven hyphae-forming tissues with varying density and strength. Some mushrooms have tough, leathery stems supporting delicate caps. Others are entirely soft and fragile. The cell walls containing chitin provide strength similar to insect exoskeletons. Chitin forms tough, fibrous structures resisting compression and tension. Some mushrooms reinforce stems with specialized thick-walled hyphae. Bracket fungi growing on trees develop tough, woody textures that persist for years. Their structure must withstand weather, gravity, and time while remaining functional for spore release. The engineering challenges fungi face, supporting sometimes heavy caps while remaining lightweight enough to grow quickly, required evolutionary solutions. Different mushroom forms represent different structural strategies. Puffballs maintain shape through internal pressure and wall strength. Stinkhorns develop rigid, cellular structures through rapid elongation. The diversity of mushroom structures demonstrates how evolution solves engineering problems through biology rather than conscious design. As you drift toward sleep tonight, consider how mushrooms stand without bones or wood, their structure woven from microscopic threads, biological architecture supporting brief reproductive moments. Fact 86, Mushroom Dark Adaptation. Mushrooms don't need light for most of their life cycle, growing entirely in darkness as underground mycelium. Some species fruit in complete darkness, caves harbor fungi that never see light. However, many mushrooms require light as a fruiting trigger. Light doesn't power growth through photosynthesis but rather signals environmental conditions. In forests, light indicates open space where spore dispersal might succeed. Light also signals day-night cycles helping mushrooms time spore release. Blue light particularly influences many mushrooms, triggering developmental changes. This light sensitivity comes from photoreceptor proteins detecting specific wavelengths. The mycelium growing in darkness doesn't need these receptors, but fruiting bodies do. Some cultivated mushrooms grow in complete darkness, while others require light exposure for proper development. The adaptation to darkness makes sense. Fungi extract energy from organic matter rather than sunlight, so light independence enables them to exploit dark environments. This contrasts completely with plants, which depend on light. Fungi's ability to thrive in darkness enables them to grow deep in soil, inside wood, and in caves, expanding the range of habitable environments. As darkness surrounds you tonight, mushrooms worldwide continue their dark work, light-independent decomposers that thrive in perpetual night. Fact 87, Mushroom Epigenetics. Beyond genetics, epigenetic modifications, chemical changes affecting how genes are expressed without altering DNA sequence, influence fungal development and adaptation. Environmental stresses can trigger epigenetic changes that persist through multiple generations, enabling fungi to remember past conditions and respond more quickly when encountering them again. This mechanism allows faster adaptation than genetic mutation alone. DNA methylation and histone modifications regulate which genes are active in different conditions. Epigenetic changes can be reversed when conditions change again, providing flexibility. Some epigenetic modifications pass to offspring, enabling parental experiences to influence descendant adaptation. This inheritance of acquired characteristics, once dismissed in biology, operates through epigenetic mechanisms. Understanding fungal epigenetics helps explain how fungi adapt so successfully to changing environments. It also complicates questions about whether altered traits in cultivated mushrooms persist or revert. Epigenetic research in fungi is relatively new but growing rapidly as scientists recognize its importance. The mechanisms show that inheritance involves more than just DNA sequence, how genes are regulated matters too. As you rest tonight, Fungal cells worldwide carry not just genetic information but epigenetic marks recording environmental history, chemical annotations on DNA guiding gene expression. Fact 91, Mushroom Climate Zones. Different mushroom species inhabit different climate zones, from Arctic tundra to tropical rainforests to deserts. Each climate zone has characteristic fungal communities adapted to local conditions. Arctic fungi tolerate freezing and short growing seasons. They may remain dormant most of the year, growing and fruiting during brief summers. Temperate forest fungi experience seasonal cycles with distinct fruiting seasons. Tropical fungi enjoy year-round warm temperatures and may fruit continuously or follow rainy seasons. Desert fungi wait years between rains, erupting briefly when moisture arrives. The global distribution of mushroom species reveals both barriers and bridges, ocean gaps, separate continents, preventing species spread, while mountain ranges create isolated high-elevation habitats with unique species. Some mushrooms have broad tolerances, occurring across climates, while others are narrow specialists. Climate zones are shifting with global warming, and mushroom distributions are shifting too. Some species expand ranges into newly suitable areas while others lose habitat as conditions exceed tolerances. Studying mushroom distributions across climate zones helps ecologists understand biogeography, evolution, and ecosystem function. As darkness falls tonight, mushrooms appropriate to each climate zone continue their specialized adaptations, Arctic species enduring cold, tropical species thriving in warmth, each fitted to its climatic home. Fact 92, Mushroom Mineral Accumulation. Mushrooms can accumulate minerals and metals from their substrate, sometimes concentrating them to levels higher than surroundings. This property has both benefits and risks. Some mushrooms concentrate selenium, a beneficial trace mineral. Others accumulate heavy metals like mercury, lead, or cadmium from contaminated soils, making them unsafe to eat despite being normally edible species. The accumulation occurs because mycelium absorbs whatever nutrients are available, not selectively excluding toxins. Some fungi hyperaccumulate specific metals, potentially useful for bioremediation, extracting pollutants from contaminated sites. However, this same property makes wild mushrooms from polluted areas potentially dangerous. Mushrooms growing near roads may absorb lead from old gasoline. Those growing in industrial areas might accumulate various pollutants. Foragers must consider substrate when gathering wild mushrooms, even known edible species can be unsafe from contaminated locations. The mineral accumulation also means mushrooms can provide dietary minerals when growing in healthy soils. Some mushrooms concentrate potassium, copper, or selenium beneficially. Understanding mineral accumulation helps both mushroom safety assessment and potential phytoremediation applications. As you rest tonight, mushroom mycelium worldwide continues absorbing minerals, concentrating Earth's chemistry into fungal tissue, for better or worse depending on what's available in soil. Fact 93, Mushroom Host Specificity. Some mycorrhizal mushrooms form partnerships only with specific plant species or genera, demonstrating remarkable specificity. Chanterelles associate primarily with oaks, pines, and similar trees. Certain boletes partner exclusively with specific pine species. Truffle species each have preferred host trees, black truffles with oaks, white truffles with hazels and oaks. This specificity means these mushrooms only grow where appropriate partners exist, limiting their distribution. The specificity reflects coevolution, mushroom and plant adapting to each other over millions of years. The biochemical recognition systems enabling fungi to identify appropriate partners are complex, involving chemical signals exchanged between root and fungus. Some partnerships are obligate, neither partner can survive without the other. Others are more flexible, fungi or plants able to partner with multiple species though preferring specific ones. Understanding host specificity helps foragers know where to search, looking for chanterelles near oaks, hunting truffles in appropriate tree plantations. It also guides reforestation and conservation. Maintaining fungal diversity requires maintaining plant diversity. As you drift towards sleep, these specific partnerships persist worldwide, ancient relationships between fungi and plants continuing their evolutionary dance. Fact 94. Mushroom succession. Mushroom communities change predictably over time as deadwood or organic matter decomposes, a process called fungal succession. Pioneer species colonize fresh substrate, usually growing quickly and producing defensive compounds. As they deplete easily accessed resources, they are replaced by species with enzymes breaking down tougher materials. Late successional species finally decompose remaining lignin and cellulose. A fallen log might support different mushrooms when fresh, partially decayed, and nearly completely decomposed. Early decomposers make substrate more suitable for later ones by partially breaking down complex molecules. The succession can take years or decades for large logs. Each stage has characteristic species, allowing experienced foragers to predict what mushrooms might appear based on decomposition stage. The succession represents niche partitioning. Different fungi specialize in different resources or decomposition stages, reducing competition. Community-level organization emerges from individual species adaptations. Understanding succession helps predict mushroom appearances and reveals how fungal communities are structured. The predictable patterns demonstrate orderly processes underlying apparently random mushroom appearances. As you rest tonight, fungal succession continues worldwide, communities slowly changing as decomposition progresses, invisible transitions measured in years, each species playing its role in returning organic matter to soil. Fact 95. Mushroom education. Teaching about mushrooms combines biology, ecology, chemistry, and practical skills, making it engaging and multidisciplinary. Mushroom education can begin with simple observation, noticing mushrooms in various environments, appreciating their diversity. It advances through identification, learning to distinguish species through careful examination. Understanding fungal ecology reveals mushrooms' roles in ecosystems. Studying cultivation teaches practical biology and provides rewarding hands-on experience. Learning about medicinal and culinary uses connects mushrooms to human culture and needs. Many organizations offer mushroom courses, workshops, and forays led by experts. These learning opportunities build communities of enthusiasts. Mushroom clubs provide ongoing education through meetings, forays, and shared knowledge. The educational journey can last lifetimes. Experienced mycologists continue discovering new species and learning. Children are naturally fascinated by mushrooms' diverse forms and sudden appearances, making them excellent educational entry points for biology and ecology. Mushroom education also includes safety training, learning which mushrooms are toxic and how to avoid dangerous mistakes. As darkness falls tonight, somewhere people are studying mushrooms, learning identification, ecology, or cultivation, continuing humanity's long relationship with fungi through education, passing knowledge between generations. Fact 96. Mushroom economic impact. Mushrooms generate significant economic activity through cultivation, wild harvest, research, tourism, and related industries. The global mushroom cultivation industry produces millions of tons annually worth billions of dollars. White button mushrooms dominate production volume, while specialty mushrooms command premium prices. Wild mushroom harvest provides income in many rural regions, matsutake harvest in Pacific Northwest, truffle hunting in Europe, various species collected globally. The industry employs cultivators, pickers, processors, distributors, and retailers. Mushroom tourism supports local economies. Festivals, foraging tours, and mushroom-related attractions bring visitors and spending. Research funding supports mycologists studying fungal diversity, ecology, and applications. Some regions have developed mushroom-based industries, supplement production, leather alternatives, packaging materials. The economic value extends beyond direct sales to ecosystem services fungi provide, nutrient cycling, carbon storage, plant partnerships. While difficult to quantify, these services have enormous value. Economic interest sometimes drives over harvest of valuable wild species, creating sustainability concerns. Balancing economic opportunity with conservation needs remains challenging. As you rest tonight, mushroom economics continue operating, markets buying and selling fungal products, businesses depending on fungi, economic value flowing from these ancient organisms. Fact 97. Mushroom molecular markers. Scientists use molecular markers, specific DNA sequences, to identify mushrooms, study their genetics, and understand evolutionary relationships. Different markers serve different purposes. Internal transcribed spacer, ITS, regions are the primary fungal barcode, varying enough between species to enable identification while being easy to sequence. Other regions help resolve relationships between species, genera, or families. Molecular identification is especially valuable when morphological features are ambiguous or specimens are immature or damaged. DNA barcoding projects aim to sequence all mushroom species, creating reference libraries for comparison. This molecular approach has revolutionized fungal taxonomy and ecology. Researchers can identify fungi from environmental DNA without seeing fruiting bodies, revealing hidden diversity. Molecular markers show that many named species are actually species complexes, multiple distinct species previously lumped together. The markers also track mushroom movements. Commercial cultivation has spread some species globally beyond native ranges. Understanding molecular markers requires sophisticated laboratory techniques and bioinformatics analysis. As you drift towards sleep tonight, know that mushroom DNA sequences reveal their histories, identities, and relationships, molecular fingerprints making visible what morphology alone cannot show. Fact 98. Mushroom historical documentation. Historical records of mushroom appearances, uses, and observations provide valuable baseline data for understanding changes over time. Ancient texts mention mushrooms, Greek and Roman writers described species and uses. Medieval manuscripts illustrated fungi. Herbals and medical texts documented medicinal applications. These historical sources show which mushrooms were known and valued in different periods and places. Comparing historical and modern records reveals changes in mushroom communities, fruiting times, and distributions. Some species have become rarer, others more common. Climate warming shifts fruiting phenology forward compared to historical records. Long-term monitoring sites provide decades of data showing trends. Herbarium specimens preserve physical evidence of past mushroom diversity, enabling modern scientists to study historical specimens. However, mushroom preservation is challenging, specimens deteriorate and DNA degrades. The historical documentation isn't complete, many mushrooms weren't recorded, particularly in regions without literate traditions. Indigenous knowledge maintained through oral traditions documented mushrooms differently, knowledge often not captured in written records. As you settle into rest tonight, historical records preserve glimpses of past mushroom diversity, baselines showing how fungal communities change, windows into earlier eras' mycological landscapes. Fact 99. Mushroom future challenges. Fungi face uncertain futures as environments change rapidly through climate warming, habitat loss, pollution, and other human impacts. Climate change affects temperature and precipitation patterns that determine mushroom fruiting. Some species may decline or disappear as conditions exceed tolerances. Others might expand ranges into newly suitable areas. Habitat destruction eliminates fungi along with vegetation. When old-growth forests are logged, their specialized fungi disappear. Nitrogen pollution from agriculture and industry affects fungal communities, favoring species tolerant of high nitrogen while harming others. Air pollution can damage fungi directly or affect them indirectly through plant partners. Overharvesting threatens popular edible species in some regions. Invasive species disrupt fungal communities by outcompeting native fungi or eliminating host plants. These challenges compound, creating uncertain futures. However, fungi's adaptability and diversity suggest resilience. Understanding threats helps develop conservation strategies, protecting habitats, managing harvest sustainably, monitoring populations. The challenges require urgent action. Once mycorrhizal networks are lost, rebuilding them is difficult. As you rest tonight, fungal communities worldwide face these challenges, their futures depending partly on human choices about conservation, climate, and land use. Fact 100, Mushroom Wonder. After exploring mushroom biology, ecology, chemistry, and uses, we return to simple wonder at these remarkable organisms. Mushrooms emerge from seemingly nothing, grow in hours, display extraordinary forms and colors, and disappear just as quickly. They decompose the dead, nourish the living, and remind us of nature's interconnectedness. They produce compounds that poison and heal, flavors that delight, and experiences that transform consciousness. They represent an entire kingdom of life, as different from plants as plants are from animals, yet filling ecological roles neither could. Every forest walk might reveal mushrooms previously unseen, each with its own biology and story. The mycelial networks underfoot, invisible but essential, connect and support ecosystems in ways science is just beginning to understand. Mushrooms challenge assumptions, organisms without brains that make decisions, living threads that form fruiting bodies overnight, partnerships between kingdoms that enable forests to exist. They demonstrate that life takes forms beyond what seems possible, that nature's creativity exceeds imagination. As you drift into sleep tonight, let wonder at mushrooms remind you that the world holds marvels still, that beneath ordinary appearances lies extraordinary complexity, that life in all its forms deserves attention and appreciation. Thank you for spending this time with us at Sleepy Knowledge. We hope these reflections have brought you a sense of calm and a deeper appreciation for the quiet, complex wonders that exist all around us. If you found peace or inspiration in tonight's journey, please consider subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment below to share your thoughts or to let us know which topics you would like to explore next. We truly value your presence in this community and read every message. Your support helps us continue to create this space for rest and learning. As you move towards sleep or simply carry this tranquility into the rest of your day, remember that there is always more to discover in the stillness. Take care, be kind to yourself, and we look forward to our next journey together. Good night.